bother me. You know that.
I know. You know, as a kid, I was that kid that always got something on my shirt.
Good meeting, good lunch yesterday.
It looks extra though.
In case I do it again.
How's Clifton?
Yes, I saw that.
What's that?
You're welcome.
Remember we talked last week about coal? Not today.
It's reasonable, and the room's gonna be packed most of the time, so.
You bet.
Avaya.
It's alive. Oh, you have to start? Yes.
I know, usually you look at me, so I'm giving you the good look.
Thank you. Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Oh. All right, it's 9 o'clock. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Justin Meeks will not be here this morning. He's had a personal family matter to take care of, and he will be joining us by phone when we need him.
Good. All right.
Okay, we'll have a motion to approve the minutes.
I make that motion.
There a
Approve the
second?
minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. KDOT road closing.
Yeah. Let me grab them real quick. I think they're here and.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm going to go ahead and pass out some information. Do what?
Oh, somebody was trying to get my attention.
Oh, okay. You want to hand that out to those guys? First off, I want to thank you for letting me attend this meeting. I appreciate it very much. And my purpose here is threefold. I'll just kind of go over my purpose. The first purpose I'm here for is I'm doing my listening tour. The second purpose I'm here for is County Road 180 and the intersection of K7. And then the third reason I'm here is to ask you if you want a PDF file or if you would like to have paper plans for the K7 project that's going to be coming up pretty soon. So I'll start out first. I'm here to listen. So what would you like to bend my ear with today? I'm all ears.
That might be a short conversation.
Well, that's good then.
More money from KDOT on bridges and really a different 80-20 don't work out 80-20. We all know that. We need to come up with a formula that really helps the counties. And I think KDOT has the tools to do that. We can just get them to do it.
More money, that's gonna have to be talking to your representatives and your senators.
Right.
And I've heard a lot of concerns about bridge programs. You know, the old 80-20 is a thing of the past almost anymore. We do have the cost share program, but that still takes a chunk of change out of the counties. But I will pass those concerns on up north. You know, that's
Yeah.
what I'm here for.
I know
I
it's,
think one of our big concerns is, once we start one of these projects, is we're held to state standards, which puts a lot of expense back on us.
Yeah.
And we're pretty good at putting bridges up in our own engineering.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would say that we've never had a problem in the past when we had a bridge crew.
Right.
Now, when we get into something like a large project, you know, maybe some oversight, but not go through all the inspections and all that.
Now, you guys get X number of dollars from the state and from the Federal Highway Administration.
What is that, 90 grand?
Okay. We do have a program called the Federal Fund Exchange Program. And if you exercise and use that money only has to be used on transportation-related issues. That could be road rock for a piece of road you got somewhere. That could be constructing a box culvert or some type of a structure, as you have just mentioned. And the requirements are not as stringent using that money to do something on that nature.
but that federal funding, every year it goes down. If
Right.
it continues to go down, it's gonna be gone.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know from my past experience from being a legislator that a lot of your money gets swept into the general fund.
Hopefully, the Bank of KDOT is on its way to closing.
That would be good.
But,
Yeah.
you know, I can't make any comments on that. I am not in that House or that Senate, so I have no control on that. But it is a goal that the Secretary and the Governor are working
That would be
toward.
great.
The cost share program seems to be very competitive. What are the main things that we need to focus on when we are making an application to the cost share program? Because I know it has something to do with economic, boosting your economics in your county. I think that's been the most frustrating from the city's perspective. We have applied 3 times and been denied every time. So we're trying to, what do we do to make our application better?
You're not gonna like my answer, but it's the truth. Kick in more money.
Okay?
There is
So
a
it needs to be
minimum.
like a 50-50.
I don't know if it needs to go that far, but there is a minimum, and it is a very popular program, as you said. And since that's the case, there is criteria that we all look at for the evaluation of it and stuff. But I do know the amount of money that a community can put into the program does help in the scoring of that project. And the reason I say that is because this cost share program was a new program under this administration. And what they want to do is they want to go to the legislature and say, hey, we started this new program. We put in seed money, or our seed money is just, I'm putting out numbers. Our seed money is $10,000 that we put into the program, but with the local matches from the communities, we're getting back $1 million. So it's a program that we want to sell to the legislature to continue it and stuff like that and show it's successful. But the best thing you can do is more money. I would try to emphasize safety if you can put safety into it whatsoever, because safety is very, very important to us, probably one of our most important aspects or criterias. I don't know that it's a criteria for the project, but it never hurts. Safety is a very big thing for us right now. Anything else that I can't answer for you?
I don't know, I think you said something about whether we wanted a hard copy or a PDF copy of, I use PDF an awful lot.
Okay.
I'm okay with PDF.
And I'll get to that when I ask you at the end. Right now, I guess I might as well introduce myself. Most of you know me. I'm Wayne Goodmanson. I'm the district engineer. And I've got the people that have the answers with me too. I have Troy Howard. He's the Area 1 engineer. He's taken over. Darren went to district, and so Troy has gotten now. He's stuck with 2 areas, my old area and Darren's old area. So the poor guy's really got his hands full. Christy Kelly, the community affairs manager, And unfortunately, brand new guy that stuck with me all day today, I'm just gonna say Mr. B. First day on the job, so the poor kid, he doesn't stand a chance. He might not come back tomorrow, I don't know. I'm kinda worried about that. But I told you the reason I'm here, and I did listen to you. I wanted to hear what your concerns were. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the intersection of, the south intersection of K7 and 180 Road. As you guys hopefully have all heard by now, we are going to be improving K7 from just north of Girard all the way up to 69. And so it's one of our major Ike projects that we have for the southeast part of Kansas. With that, we're gonna be adding shoulders. Well, before you give me the thumbs up, some of the shoulders are gonna be asphalt. The other remainder shoulders will be 3-foot asphalt, 3-foot aggregate, but it's still gonna be a shoulder. We're gonna go back in there, and we're gonna try to rehabilitate the roadway. We're gonna mill it out, put back an asphalt surfacing on top of it. I tried to get it to where we would change those curves that we have on it, but that wasn't part of the budget. But we're gonna go back there, and when we surface it, we're gonna put the, what we call super elevation, the angles back on it, so you know you can take it at a faster speed. So we're gonna improve the safety on it and all that stuff. And so that is one of the Ike projects. And right now, it's in the design pipeline. So we're looking at the design on it right now, and we're going through that part of it.
So is that all the way from 69 to Girard?
Yes, I believe it is, isn't it, Troy? I believe it goes that full distance. As I said, safety is part of the reason we're looking at this job. And I would like to have the commission's permission or read on what you want to do, but that south intersection of 180 and K7, the angle that the two come together, it's a very poor intersection. We would like to close that intersection and just use that north one that we have out there. And then if you notice, there's some property and stuff back there that still needs to be accessed.
Right.
So we're gonna build a little access to a cul-de-sac in the back end of that. And that's so if a farmer or somebody needs to turn around a piece of equipment, they'll have the room to do it there. And also if a fire truck needs to get out there to put out a crop fire, a grass fire or something like that, they can make the turn and come back in to wherever they need to go.
So you're gonna access that cul-de-sac with a straight road?
We will access that cul-de-sac with your 180. And that's what I'm.
Oh, I got you.
Right there, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna, and then 180 will then take and go west to where that north intersection is. And I wanted to come and touch base with you guys first before we approach the property owners down there and tell them that that road's gonna be closed. Because if you guys are against it, then we won't be doing it.
Harry, do you have any concerns or questions, or?
I really don't. I don't know long-term if we want to look at closing the road altogether or what have you, but something we can discuss.
Well, if we can get to the public property, as long as they have access, I would be in favor of closing the entire road.
Yeah.
As long as we can, but I like the idea of the cul-de-sac as well.
Right.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
designed, and Troy's idea was to put that cul-de-sac down there to where they can make that turn and go wherever, you know, and it looks like it's all crop ground, not hay meadow, but if it were a hay meadow there and it caught fire and the rural fire had to get
Yeah.
out there.
That's true. Give them access right there.
Yeah.
That's a good point, yeah.
Your area, what do you think?
I'm in favor of accommodating KDOT and closing that intersection. And I would want input from the property owners before I close the road.
Yes, absolutely.
But I like the idea of the cul-de-sac for a fire
Well,
truck could turn around, so.
And we have a procedure for closing the road,
Yeah,
so just
so-
get with Kendall and we'll go through that procedure. And
I'm 100% for this project, so.
Okay.
very good.
Thank you. We will then approach I will get back with our designers and pass the word on to them. You guys want to get me out of here early because you already answered my third question, but what I'm hearing is most of you want a PDF file instead
Yes.
of the paper?
And more money.
Yeah, more money.
More money. Well, the PDF I can get you, the more money we're gonna have to work on.
Is there a way to get both? Can we get a paper?
I wouldn't hold my breath. Oh, do you want a paper? I can get you a
I'd
paper.
like to have paper, then that way I could have it out in the field.
Okay, so we want one of each?
Yeah.
I'll get one paper and then we'll also get PDFs.
Yeah.
And with that said, we have, when our plans get completed to a certain percentage, about like 35%, somewhere in that area, I think, what we do is we meet with county representatives, designers, Troy and I'll be there. We'll go out there and we'll meet at a site and we will go through the plans. And then after we go through the plans at a facility, then we'll go out into the field and look at the issues that we brought up. And have it noted that on 22nd of June, we're gonna have a project field check at this point in time. I've got down in my notes that it's gonna be West Northern Avenue, west of K7 at Girard at the Bible Church, Girard Bible Church. But we're gonna also have one north of there too at Fort Scott, here in Fort Scott at my office. I just don't know what that date's gonna be. Or at least that was the last I was told. Things change.
I thought we moved it to our sub area.
Okay, so we did move it? Okay, so I will let you know for sure where it's gonna be, because they hit me up at having it the sub area, and Troy thought that's what made that change. I got this off of notes, so. Anything else for the good of the cause of the good, or what I can help you with?
While you're working on K7, you're gonna look at the intersection of 39 and K7?
Yes, we're going to redesign that. It's gonna go to more of a T intersection than what we have now.
Good.
I was just telling that Eric when I was back in his room with him.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
we are gonna look at that. That was one of the things. Yeah, I agree with you on that. That intersection it's probably worse or as bad as the one we were just talking about. That will be reconstructed.
Good.
When we're done, 7 will be a good, nice road. And I won't have this, I'm gonna miss her. She's one of my pen pals, phone pals. Unfortunately, every semi that runs off K7 happens to go through her fence. So hopefully she won't be calling me in the near future when it's
I
done.
know there's a lot of semis that go off of 39.
I have not heard too many of them lately.
I've seen a few.
Have you? Okay, yeah.
We're real busy on 7 though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this poor lady, bless her heart, she tells me every semi that goes off is through her fence, so.
My.
Anything else that I can help? Yeah. Oh,
Commissioners, on behalf of the Highway 69 Committee, I'd like to thank and encourage KDOT for their work on 69, and once again ask for their faithful commitment to completing Highway 69 work from here to Pittsburgh expediently, so thank you.
and it's well on its way. We've got, when these 2 contracts that are currently under construction right now, when they're done, it will be 4-laned all the way to Pittsburgh.
Great.
Good news.
So that part will be nice. And the contractor that has a north job, a lot of rock, heavy earthwork on it, and they are just kicking tail. I mean, they are really going to town. A lot of blasting, a lot of shooting, a lot of rock moving. Really neat job.
You know,
Really
when-
neat job.
Back in the day, when I used to go to Pittsburgh, they had the concrete curbs on the sides, up and down the hills.
You
So it's
know,
come a long way, but it took a long time to get there.
on one of our 69 projects that we did, nobody realized it, but when they got started excavating, they found the old road bed underneath it. So I wound up paying a lot of extra money for rock X that wasn't supposed to be there.
Well, it'd be great. A lot of people try to pass on that road still, and
You're right. You're
pretty
right.
dangerous.
Gentlemen, if you have any questions,
Thank
call
you.
Troy or Christie.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Eric, do you want us to come back sometime after we look at those and get with you?
Yeah, you would.
Okay.
That'd be great.
We'll do that.
Yep.
I have your email address. That's not good.
Okay, hey.
And 2 business cards. That's even worse.
He's telling you the truth, dude.
I-
I tucked mine away from him.
Did you? Okay.
All right, Eric. I know you've been busy this weekend.
We've had a little bit. First, let's go through our permits. We got some permits to
Okay.
take care of. Zimmerman property is completed. It's ready for signatures.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next one is Roman Shetler at 2025 195th, asking for a culvert to be installed. And then the last one is from Crawcan, their yearly permit. They've submitted their plans that they have at this point, along with their check and then their insurance information as well.
I move that we approve the application for permit for access entry to a county public right of way from Roman Shetler at 2025 195th Street, Fort Scott, Kansas. Here's a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion, we approve the application for permit for utility construction, Crawcan Telephone Corp. Incorporated at 200 North Ozark, P.O. Box 100, Girard, Kansas, for fiber optic cable underground. Where was this at?
They got a map here.
Well, they got multiple places?
Multiple locations.
Okay, and we've got everything we need?
We have their
Okay.
insurance, and we have their permit fees. and-
Okay. There, second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I'm sorry?
Yeah. You got another one there for
Do it, well, let's
Yep, yep.
sign, it's ready to go.
Okay. Okay. Now back to the fun.
Back to the fun.
As you said, we were a little busy Friday night up till today. From about 125th west to the Allen County line, to the Lynn County line, to the Crawford County line, had a storm went through. Several trees were blown down, multiple trees, roads washed from the heavy rains in the area. Certain areas got anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rain. Proud of the crews. Went out Friday night, opened up what roads we could. A little cautious with the many power lines that was down, making sure we didn't, excuse me, didn't get into a tree with the power line. So we worked till about midnight there Friday night, and then come back out Saturday and tried to hit pretty much that whole area that we could. Used 2 loaders and a backhoe and basically went down the roads and shoved trees off the road. Working with Will Wallace to find out if there's going to be any declaration or anything. Once we figure that out, then we're going to have to figure out something on getting the trees out of the right-of-ways and the waterways and the things like that. It's going to be several weeks, months of cleanup of that. So just kind of give you an idea where we're at there. We are hauling rock. The road graders are out trying to get the roads back best they can. Hauling rock in between trying to asphalt. So it's a little bit of a challenge right now, but we will get it. And then also we have multiple signs that have been blown over, blown down, twisted, what have you. So that kind of gives you an update of where we're at on that. I know the guys have put in a lot of long hours over the weekend, and very proud of them getting out and doing that. So
I appreciate that, because I called you at 10:30 Saturday night, and you were still out there and said you'd probably be taking off about midnight, and I
Yeah.
know Saturday, talking to you, that you was just everywhere or
Yeah.
in that area. And I know what the damage you're talking about, because I was right in the middle of it.
Right.
Uniontown really got hit hard,
Right.
and that whole area through there got hit hard. And driving those roads were a challenge right after it happened.
Yes, yes, and we had a challenge from the get-go. I received a call of somebody trapped on a bridge and trees on each
That was-
side of the bridge.
That was one of my neighbors.
Okay,
And what it was, down on 85th Street,
okay,
at the river crossing there north of Unity.
okay,
He started up the hill, tree blew down in front of him, and the water was coming up in the river behind him.
okay,
So he's having a difficult time
Okay.
getting to safe
okay.
ground.
Well, I got to give Dustin Hall credit on that one. I was actually in Pittsburgh when that all happened, and I was able to call and turn it over to him, and he was able to get a hold of the dispatch and get emergency services out to help try and locate him, because I think cell phone service was pretty bad.
Oh,
and-
it's terrible out there.
Right, so they were having a very hard time, but finally got everybody on dry ground, so,
Yeah, there was a big implement shed that totally got destroyed right out just west of me. So it was a lot of wind out there.
right, right. Saw several buildings or
Several
sheds
buildings.
that were, barns moved off foundations and,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so, anyhow,
Well, you did a good job of trying to get things to where people could be at least pass
Right.
through. And the electrical was, I was talking to the electricians for the Heartland quite often, because we didn't have any power.
Right.
And they were having poles down everywhere.
yes, yes. With that, asphalt, Hyattville area, we are pulling out of there now. We had a little technical difficulties there, but we got it straightened out, so, we are headed down to 250th today. We got a soft spot down there we want to fix, and then we will start laying asphalt tomorrow down there. We have Joel from Van Keppel will be here tomorrow
Good.
as well.
Good.
So we need some Joel time tomorrow, and
I drove by yesterday. You're being brave not striping that outside, but I hope your guys get that good.
yeah,
We never could get that good.
yeah,
We always had to stripe the outside too, or it was like,
yeah.
but good
Yeah,
luck.
We'll,
Good
we'll
luck.
see. We'll see how it goes.
Good
So,
luck, yeah.
Yeah. And we may have to go in there and stripe it as well. The F-750, we did get it back here, so it is on our lot now.
So what do you think?
We really like it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And the lift on the back actually works, so I
Well,
think
that's
we're
nice.
may try and just keep that on there if everything, the Pendle and everything will allow it to be there. And that way, if we do have some really heavy objects we need to lift, we'll have the Tommy lift. So crusher, broke a belt on the crusher, getting it fixed. Along with, while they're here doing that, we're gonna have them turn the hammers, I believe, and get him turned over and try and get a couple things done there. Soybeans, I'm still waiting to hear back
Okay.
from KDHE. I reached back out to her, I forget what day it was. I think I sent you a text or what
Last
have you.
week.
Yeah, and she was gonna get something to me. I still haven't heard anything, so.
Back to crushing, just a matter.
Yeah.
Are you getting really close to Blake or getting ready
Yes,
to move?
I'm glad you asked that. We're finishing up removing the dirt, spoils, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
overburden, and may have that done by the end of this week,
Good.
first of next week, and then still have plenty of rock up there to crush, but we'll go ahead and get the blast done, so that way we're ready to move. And
And you probably know this, but I noticed that Beth,
Mm-hmm.
we did 36 or 37,000. And we have to pay for 40
right,
flat out.
Right.
So if you do 20, we still got to pay for 40. So
Right, right.
Always want to exceed that 40 mark if
right,
possible.
if possible. And
Yeah.
and I know last year, I think, what was it, 32, 27 or something like that. I forget what it was last year, but yeah, I agree with you.
Last year.
Yeah, we was short a little bit on that, but you're right. We want to get every bit we can get.
Yeah, we don't want to drive the cost up.
Yep, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But I just wanted to mention, I'm sure you knew it. but
Yep,
just to-
yep. So, and out at Blake, we made sure that we had enough area. Up at Beth, it was pretty tough because we're getting against that wall and
At
to
Blake,
the,
you're going south?
pardon?
At Blake, are you going south?
Yes, south. We're on the east side going south.
Good.
Yep.
I'm sure you always remember, you got 5 foot of shale at the existing pit, and you got 30-some feet plus good rock underneath that.
Underneath
shale.
that,
Yeah.
okay.
So someday I suggest getting that shale out and just haul it to the landfill for cover.
Cover.
And you've got a brand new pit.
That's right.
So,
Yeah,
That's where we fell down before. They got into the shale,
yeah.
and that's when they decided to close
Yeah.
that
Yeah, okay.
gravel.
There's
And
a use for that
we
shale.
went back
Okay.
out after 6 years ago and looked at the old drilling that they did and knew where the shale was, and we only blasted down a little above that shale. So now, once you do that, you can clean that shale out
shell
of
out.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah. A lot of rock.
A lot of
Good rock.
rock under there.
okay. All right. Jayhawk Wind, moving right along out with that. They're still doing a little bit of culvert work. They're really working on their turning radiuses, starting to try and pour some concrete out there, so we're seeing concrete trucks. With that, starting to see a little bit of road failure, but to their credit, they went in and restabilized some of the roads with a cement mix, aggregate, and reworked them, and we're getting some really nice roads
Good.
out of this work that they're doing out there. I know Calvary between 30th and 40th is one of them that started to fail, was pumping up, and sub-base was coming up, and they went in and completely reworked it, restabilized it, and
Good.
looks good.
You're gonna go out and watch them pour one of those bases?
If we have time, I don't know if we're gonna have time to be able to
I
go out.
want to go out and watch, because
Yeah.
that's a big pour.
Right, right, and, well, they started doing them the other day, but I think they done it about 3 or 4 in the morning, so you're gonna have to set your alarm pretty
Well,
early.
I get up 4:30 every morning
Okay.
anyway, so
All
don't
right.
make any difference.
All right. And also, dust control, they are putting water down the best they can, and they've identified a couple, 2 or 3 areas, contacted us on using our dust control oil and of the road, so they're gonna pay for that and
Good.
see what we can do on getting a few of those properties taken care of for them. One last thing, next week, I will be off on vacation all next week, so I'm gonna go on a guy's fishing trip, so dad the boy, so,
Good for you.
Try not to bug you.
Going
all
north,
right.
north,
yep,
Michigan.
going to
Dustin's-
Michigan.
Dustin's, you're gonna text me Dustin's number, right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, so, anyhow, any questions for me?
Well, I said it on the radio this morning, that a lot of times we get reports from people. I don't sometimes have the opportunity to call them back, or I can't contact them. But we do a very good job, as we have in the past. Once we get a report, we try to take care of it
Right.
immediately.
Right.
And that saves a lot of trying to figure out what we've done and what we haven't done.
Right.
And really, people like it.
Okay.
So I appreciate you doing that.
Right. Also, speaking of reports, I think everyone here received a report of a issue on a site triangle on Maple Road. I think it may be in an email from Kendall.
It is.
I didn't get it, but
Okay.
oh, yes, I'm sorry, I
Okay,
did, I
yep.
did. Kendall, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and visit with the property owner because the trees are actually on the
yeah.
property
Saw
owner.
that. When I
Property
looked at the
owner,
map.
so I will try and make contact with them and see
Okay.
if we can get that worked out, and then we'll go from there.
Right.
So,
Good.
anyhow, anything else?
Nothing for me.
All right.
Oh, I do have one
Yep,
other thing.
yep.
So you're advertising in the newspaper, is that by any chance for your ditching crew, or are you growing that yet, or?
We're just trying to get bodies, and we will try and where our plan is to ditch with our graders and then follow right in with the sheep's foot and
Yeah.
roller, and
You're gonna need people,
we're gonna need people, and
Yeah.
we gotta have apps.
you gotta have body.
We gotta have bodies.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing that across
You're
the
you're
board
gonna-
everywhere.
You're gonna have 2 retire that you gotta backfill right
Yeah,
now.
yep, so,
That's gonna be tough to fill too.
yes, it
will.
is. You're 100% correct, so,
All righty.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, thank you.
yep.
Thanks, Eric.
So just for
Okay, I
my,
need to add Justin on.
just for my reading,
Yes, all it is. Just, if you see anything here catches your eye, and before I pitch it.
okay.
You gotta be kidding. Hey, Shane. Says upgrade failed, so I guess we won't use this. Now do it, okay, well, I didn't think it was gonna be that easy. Just take it off.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
913515, right? Thing. I know I got the right number that time. 91135138310.
Good morning, Justin speaking.
Hey, Justin, Lynn O'Hara.
Hey, Commissioner, how are you this morning?
Good,
That was quick.
You're live, and you're on the turtle phone.
Well, I appreciate being on the turtle phone. I don't know about alive, but I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, we're gonna have we're down to the point where we're having a discussion about Jackie Spaulding.
Okay. I did my due diligence on that, commissioners, and really, I know sometimes when I was growing up, I hated when my dad told me this, but patience gains all things on this. I think the Tribune did a wonderful job of. Believe that with that process, things should.
Hang on, Justin.
Things.
We amending
Oh.
the agenda, or
Huh?
are we amending?
Did I miss one?
Two.
Table those two.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we'll amend the agenda since I got him here.
Well, I
hang
can-
on for a minute. You want me to call you
Okay.
back?
Yeah.
You can call me back. I have no issues.
I was in a hurry.
I get it.
All right, bye.
Okay. Thanks.
Sorry about that. Kendall, I got your email and I reviewed that. Now you're gonna explain it?
Well, that's not what's on the agenda, but I can, yes. Can I have it real quick?
Sure. That seems all of it.
We'll blend it together.
Please.
So I gave commissioners yesterday the estimated, and these are only estimates at this point for the valuation for 2021 that you'll use for your 2022 budget.
Right.
Currently, we're sitting at about 110 million, and the estimate for your budget to use for 2022 is 115 million. So valuation is up. We had an increase in state assessed and a major increase in real estate. So you'll use these numbers when we do our budget. If there's the R&R that we have to take into consideration this year when the budgets are done. So good news for the county.
And
Good
that-
news all the way around for all of our
And
towns.
if I read that right, that is for our new budgeting process when we look at it initially. Before we do the public hearing, it's revenue neutral.
Yes.
Okay.
These are your base numbers we're gonna work with.
All right, that's all
These are
wanna
only
get out there.
estimates though, so, when we come to do the actual numbers come in November, the live numbers come in November, so sometimes you'll see a bit of a change, but typically, it's pretty close to this number right here.
Good.
Okay, I'm good at skipping
Thank you.
things on these agendas.
You are.
The things that I want to talk
Get right to
about,
it.
get to them.
So, actually, what's on the agenda is annual statements from the cemeteries, townships, fire districts, and watersheds.
Yes,
Each year, the commissioners, I get these in my office, and then each year you guys have to either approve or not approve it. And what it is, it's saying what did they get in tax dollars and what did they spend for the year. I have a report in here showing what they got for tax dollars, and then they turn in a report saying, well, they received this much in dollars from taxes or from donations or whatever, and then what was spent. So it's the commissioner's job just to review them.
right.
And either approve or not approve. So these are in here as a whole, the entire
Secretaries, townships, fire districts, and watersheds.
Okay, we're gonna
It
have
has
to,
nothing to do with with the cities, there's also townships in there, so.
we'll need to review these, or if you want to review them,
I can do that.
Mike, you could, and kind of give us a report, because that would kind of fall in line with finance director responsibilities. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And then you will need to make a motion.
We will, once we do the review. What's the deadline on accepting them on or not accepting them?
Well, we're gonna start doing budgets here in the next few weeks, and
Right.
so before then, so maybe next week, maybe Susan will have to and
So we should be starting our budget probably the last week in June?
we should have already started it.
Well, I know we have,
Yeah.
but I mean, people getting their budgets to
We
us.
need to move right along.
We need
This
to move right
R9
along, we
is our
need those
timeline.
budgets.
Yes, so.
Good. Thank you again.
Thanks, Kendall. All right, I missed an important one, K-Works and Jess. I almost put you at the bottom of the list, man.
He's the most important guy in Bourbon County this morning.
He is.
All right.
I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to pass these out. You guys had mentioned, got RFP from Kendall, you guys wanted to bid this year.
Yes.
And we've been with you guys for, do you want a copy of this again, or was it? To law firms? She requested, I got the RFP and, requested loss runs, so I've already got them to her. I just wanted to come down, we had been, you guys have been insured by us. I was with EMC for 4 years, and I was with K-Camp for 16. And I just went to K-Work here 2 years ago. I was K-Camp's, I did heavy equipment, litigated files, did property, I did the whole 9 yards. I just got tired of fighting people and climbing roofs, so I went to K-Work instead a couple years ago. But I just wanted to come down, and I don't want to take too much of your time because you've been with us forever anyway. If you guys want to follow along with me, that's great. If not, just for your own filing, it's fine. Something kind of good, I looked at the loss runs. 2017 is going to drop off. It goes back 3 years. And that's going to drop off, and that wasn't a very good year. And so I'm thinking your experience mod is probably going to go down to 1, which that's not bad, from 1.14 to 1. And that's the biggest factor other than payroll that just shows what your losses are and go from there. So I just want to go over this real quick. I don't want to take too much of your time and kind of tell you what K-Work, and I can go into K-Camp if you want. I'm not a spokes for them, but I've been with them forever. So if you have any questions, I can sure answer them. But so, you know, what is K-Work? Well, we started in 92. K-Camp started in 91. And what the problem was is back then, insurance went up about 300%. And counties were having a hell of a time finding insurance. So it's formed under the KAC under an interlocal agreement. And we're dedicated just to Kansas counties, that's it. We're in Topeka. The nicest thing I hear about K-Camp and K-Work is that when you pick up the phone, you get somebody. I've heard other companies are saying, hey, I'm not trying to say you're any better than they are, but I don't have to tell my story 6 different times. Pick up the phone. And some of these sheriffs, they just don't even have, they don't have time. Roads and bridge guys don't have time to handle stuff like that. So they'd rather just pick up the phone and make a phone call. We are county owned. We have a board of trustees meet every month. Jim Parrish is our administrator, Dorothy is the deputy, and we are county operated. We have 7 board members, and we try to get those board members from around the state. And they could be anybody but, well, they have to be an elected official. So basically, it's clerks and commissioners that are on the board. On the next page, you will take a quick look at the map. All the counties that are in pink are the ones that we currently insure. The ones that are in the purple are where we have board members. So like we try to get it across the state so everybody has representation as far as that. And you can see we have 77 counties. Some of them are self-insured, Sedgwick, Riley, Wyandotte. When I'm talking like that, they probably have a $250,000 deductible. You guys, most of your deductibles on K-Camp are $500 to $1,000, and on ours, on work comp, there's no deductible at all unless you specifically want one. We usually don't even figure a deductible for you. So that's why those bigger counties just really don't need somebody like us, what the smaller counties do. Next page here is our members who we currently have. Trustees, if you know any of the trustees. Next page. As far.
Yeah, I know a few of them.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
do
I figured
too,
you
yeah.
do. You probably know that one down in the right-hand corner on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, Rob.
Yeah.
I know most of them.
So our trustees have different committees. We have an investment committee, an audit committee, a personnel committee, and they also meet quarterly. Then the loss prevention, I think this is where we really shine. We get out to your counties quarterly. I'm the marketing director, loss prevention guy, so is Brandon, and so is Ben. But we try to get out quarterly. We can't enforce anything. We're not trying to pick on anybody, but we like to make our presence in the county. And if we see an OSHA violation, we just like to notify you of it. I mean, because we can't enforce anything, but the Department of Labor can. And although I haven't seen any fines, I've seen some damn dirty letters from them. And so it's just a service that we have. We also teach. We do our safety inspections. We do safety training. We do defensive driving. I know I've done it for Jim and his crew. We'll even get together and we'll sit down with you if you want to put a safety committee together. We do flagger training. We do skid steer training, and we also have an online library, J.J. Keller, that I think we have over 125 different little sessions. They're like 20-minute sessions. There's really nothing that bad, nothing that taxing. Now, the defensive driving is a 4-hour course. I get it done in 2. Brandon gets it done in 2 hours and 15 minutes. If I have to tell you guys that you shouldn't pass on a double line, you got bigger problems. And, well, and you know, most of your guys' people are professional drivers too. I mean, you CDLs, I mean, the sheriff's department, I mean, so, and another thing too, I'm not teaching 16-year-olds. I don't know what the average for your county is, but 30, 35.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
So,
we're way up there.
so way up there. So I'm not gonna sit there and go over the little schematics. I just want to get the gist of things. There are some nice things. You know, they switched from following 2 seconds to 4 seconds now. Little things like that. They're asking you to open your driver's side door with your right hand instead of your left because it makes you turn and look. It's just little things like that you think about. And I know you can't measure prevention, but I wish you could. I really wish you could. I was driving the other day and it was raining like you wouldn't believe, and I was falling 4 seconds behind. And so it just, instead of 2, 3 during bad weather and 4 if you're hauling a load is what they recommend. Anyway, I'm going on here. Monthly meetings, all financial transactions are reported. Checks over 5,000 are consigned. We do a claim review. We'll give you quarterly financial reports to your membership. As far as accountable, we are reinsured, just like you are. You probably have a $1,000 deductible on your home, okay? Well, we have a deductible too. So, you know, if hell freezes over, I mean, which I don't think we probably ever got into. K-Camp is too, they're self-insured. I don't think we've ever got into it, but a couple times. But you know, it's there just in case something would happen. We have a third-party administrator, which is TPA, that handles the claims, TriStar, and they're on it. I don't want to go over all of this stuff, but $100 million in revenue, largest privately owned independent TPA, and they do daily operations, TriStar best practices. Litigation management, supervision, customer service. The next page here, you can kind of see K-Work, everybody that started, and see you guys are a 20-year member. So you've been with us for 20 years. I thought 18, but 20. So, you know, usually, you know, when you get to there, you stay. Yes, that's kind of what happens. So, Kendall, I believe October 1st is what the RFP said, so we'll have a bid for you. What I'd like to do is come down, open them at the same time, whoever the other competitor is, that way we can enter them, put them into the record. It's public record then, and I come down, and we'll do that. You know, the biggest thing is our loss prevention, that we are out in counties quarterly. I know other companies, you have to have a loss prevention supervisor by statute. You have to. But I think it's basically, poof, you're the LPS guy. And I just never, I work with EMC a lot. I work with Travelers I've worked, and I've never seen one. I heard of one guy with EMC, his name was Rush Reeves was his name. But I just never saw anybody come out. But that's just, and like I said, we aren't picking on anybody. We're just trying to point out any safety measures that we could find that would possibly help you prevent injury and keep your premiums lower. So, any questions?
Yep. I just wanted to say, Jess, you've done a good job in the past coming and giving us
Thank you.
safety training, so thank you.
Thank you. And that's all free.
I've been to a few of them.
Yeah, you have been.
And you know, back in my past life, we had the same operations, you know, defensive driving every year. You know,
It's
for
every-
20 years.
It's every 2 years now.
It's every 2 years
And
now.
then PIT training, which is powered industrial truck, basically anything that has forks on it. It could be a telehandler, forklift, skid steer, whatever. It's got forks on it. It's
So
three-
is
it's
backing
3 years.
accidents still the number one?
Deer hits. Deer hits the sheriffs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of,
I would
I
say-
understand that. Someone at 10:30 at night hit a deer right in front of my house.
Well, of course,
And I had to
you know,
go put it down.
of course they're running all night, and they're running from one county to the other, probably 90, 100 mile an hour, you know, and it's just, you know, something that they have to do. It's just a necessary evil. In fact, some of the sheriffs goes, Jess, you know, what's the biggest pain that you had at K-Camp? I said, deer hits, guys. You know, that's because not only is it a front end hit, if it's over $2,000, don't even think about getting it fixed yet because you know you're going to have a supplement. And then you got wigwags, you got sirens, then you have decals in there. And those sheriffs don't want to call me over a $15, $20 decal, but
No.
I owe it to you. That's the way I always looked at it. I mean, I owe it, and I'm bound by the terms and conditions of that policy to make you whole. That's the way I've always looked at it. And I think K-Camp still has they still look at that, you know. So anyway, any questions?
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Oh. Now we're back to where I wanted to be.
Yeah, you can dial again, man.
Now, did I get skipped over on the event agenda? I was under the impression that I would be able to I'd be able to talk first, but I feel like we kind of.
And your name is?
I'm sorry, what's that? Okay. Okay, so, both. But that's not about straddling, something about budget.
Here we go. Try this again, right?
Yeah. Hello, Michael. How are you, sir?
Good.
Good.
Better.
Rob, how are you?
Good, how are you, Jim?
I'm good. Oh, as I am, just glad to be somewhere.
Yeah, we had to be out of Florida. It's not bad. It's hot down
Good morning, Commissioners.
Try that again.
Morning.
No, we got
Okay, yeah, round two.
round two. So we're at the point where we're discussing Jackie Spalding. And you've already told us that you did the fact checking or your due diligence, so let's start from there.
Yeah, Chairman, I believe that, you know, patience gains all things. I think that, you know, the process will handle the situation, and I think that it'll be something we won't have to hopefully deal with here in the coming weeks. So based off the conversations I've had with, you know, attorneys and things like that, I think the process will take care of itself and we'll get on down the road. And at that point, the Republican Party will step in and nominate a new county attorney.
Well, I know there's a Republican Party meeting on the 21st, 4th, that they're gonna have discussion on the same issue.
Yes, and they're responsible for who will be our temporary county attorney until the next election cycle.
Correct.
No, my understanding when I spoke to the chair of the Republican Party is that this upcoming meeting that they're going to be having, they're going to be coming up to a vote of no confidence. That's my understanding from when I spoke.
It may be even a little more than that.
Right. So I mean, if you want to let them beat you to it, then that's on you guys. Like,
Well, it's really in it's really in their court to do that. That's really where it belongs.
I disagree. You know.
Well, you know, the only thing we handle for that office strictly is the budget. We don't tell them how to do their cases or who to hire or anything in that. They have to stay within their budget.
I have a question for Justin, this is Jim.
Yes.
Is it your recommendation for no comments from the commission regarding this matter?
I mean, you guys can make your comments, but the process with the Supreme Court of the state of Kansas and how the steps are going to be taken are happening, and it's going to resolve itself. I mean, I know people, I didn't like to be told to have patience, but in this case, it's going to rectify itself fairly shortly.
Can you guarantee that?
I can guarantee that that's going to occur, yes.
When you say very shortly, can you guarantee that?
We can't give you an exact timeline, but shortly means
It
within.
sounded like a pretty specific timeline when I hear very shortly, that's what comes.
I have no control over the Kansas Supreme Court. I don't know when, but it would.
The process, from what I understand, is with Justin is moving forward very quickly. It's not just sitting there.
Yeah, it's not gonna sit there. I think if someone wanted to do a recall petition, the situation would be resolved prior to that petition being able to occur.
And then the Supreme Court is going to base their decision off of what is said at the Supreme Court. And
well, the
my
recommendation,
there's more than one lawyer involved in this process, and they're going to determine they will make the final decision of what's going to happen.
right, the recommendations from Stan Haslick's office and then from the committee will go to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court could either follow those recommendations or have another recommendation that they want. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to follow the recommendations of Stan's office and also the committee.
Okay.
Justin, it appears that there's a group of the public, I don't know how many, that wants us to vote no confidence in this position. There's no advantage to doing that or disadvantage, is there?
There's obviously the committee, the last committee that heard her case has found, their recommendation is for disbarment. And I don't think you can get a stronger recommendation than that with my profession. So, a vote of no confidence is, at this point, that vote's already been done by a selected board of highly qualified attorneys who heard the case and heard the facts and made that recommendation.
We can agree that something needs to be done. But
it's something. I guess what I'm trying to say is something will be done.
Yes.
I mean, it's going to happen sooner than later. The process is going to work itself out.
Okay, got any comments?
Mark, we're talking about what the Republican Party might do at their next meeting regarding the attorney. Do you have any comments? This gentleman's asking questions.
Yes, the Republican Party is having a regularly scheduled meeting on the 24th. If that topic comes up, we will address it at that time. There is no plan to have any sort of votes at this time. But again, it's a committee meeting, and so the individuals that are invited to the meeting are Republican Party committee members and members of the Republican Party. It's not an open meeting to the entire public, but I believe I will have a session that's open for people to make comments in the beginning. I have had inquiries in regards to the Republican Party doing, I think, the two things you talked about. I'm sorry I was out of the room for an important call. Number one is the question about a vote of no confidence, and number two is the question in regards to asking her to resign. So if those things come up, we will address them at the party meeting at that time amongst the members that are voting members of the party. So does that answer your question?
If you should hear before the 24th that the term of disbarment does not exceed her elected period, what would be your anticipated approach?
Well, that's a good question. And so let me say in honor of the highly elected people, I choose not to answer that question. What I choose to say is I find it hard to believe that action will not be taken prior to her period of time, because she has 3 more years to go in her a 4-year term. And,
So if she gets disbarred for 2 years,
oh,
she can sit out for 2 years and come back to her job for the last year.
so my understanding is if you are disbarred, then that means you're losing your license, and the Republican Party will vote to replace her with another person. Replacements are not temporary. They are until the next election,
Right.
and then they are elected for a period of time until that 4-year cycle. So let's just theoretically say, if this took place by November of this year, then someone would be selected by the party and put forward to the governor for their approval. The governor has to do that. And then at the 2022 election, that person would have to run for the remaining 2 years against any other candidates that would choose to run.
So they don't fill her entire term.
That's correct. Yes, that's my understanding.
Yeah, once we go through this process, they can't come back but if they had their license reinstated, they could feasibly come back and run for office.
Well, anybody can run for office as long as they are a licensed lawyer in the state of Kansas. And I've also discovered that by Kansas law, they do not have to reside in our county. I'm not aware, though, that there's not some possibility that the county commissioners could institute or request or have an ordinance. I don't know. They would need to seek legal counsel to ask if that would be something that they could do. So
the American Bar Association recommends that prosecutors reside in the county. It's not a requirement, but it is recommended. So, and the American Bar is pretty much the standard of which all lawyers apply. So.
And I think that's a good recommendation. However, if I lived in Ulysses, Kansas, which is WOD, I call that. That's way out there in western Kansas. And it is probably about 57 miles west of Liberal, Kansas. And so very, very small community. The city is about 4,500 people. The reason I know that is I opened the McDonald's restaurant there in 1993, and it was a resounding success because in small counties, everybody in the world comes to the opening of a McDonald's. But people wanting to live and reside there make it very difficult for someone to work and reside in a very small community. So in many of these areas, there may be 2 or 3 counties. 1, because of pay, and 2, just because of the caseload, and 3, it's because of the number of people that would be eligible in that area to be able to work in that position. And by the way, I did want to clarify salary, if I may. I went to the county clerk, and I secured the exact current salary of the county attorney. And if you give me just a second, I can read it. I believe it's $50,133. That's what's the current salary of the county attorney. And so I would also say that no matter who runs for the office, it's very difficult to get someone to commit their full faith and full time only to doing that position. I'm not sure that it is a 40-hour plus a week full-time commitment. And so we know that our current county attorney was also the assistant county prosecuting attorney in Iola, Allen County. So I understand that that happens in a number of areas around the state. I'm not advocating for it. I'm not supporting it. I'm just saying it's difficult to imagine that a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer who went to school for all those years and graduated with $287,000 today and scholarships that they didn't get and so forth, you know, that could survive on $50,000 a year.
I do. I support a family of 5 on 30,000 just fine, and I work 60 hours a week.
I'm not defending any of these people. If it sounds like that, I'm sorry, I apologize. I worked 120 hours a week running a business and a corporation, so I know what hard work, perseverance, and dedication is. However, you and I are not doctors, lawyers, and engineers, and I have a brother that's a doctor that still practices for some reason at 84 years old because he wants to. And so I don't disagree with you. It would be difficult to find somebody, though, I think, And maybe that's what's gone on here in the past. And I'm not advocating for increasing the salary much. That's not what I'm saying.
But would it be reasonable to at least define the hours commitment that a county attorney should provide?
And again,
Well, you know, that might be a good concept, but when you get into the elected official part of this, it's from statute, I do believe that it's already spelled out, you know, what is required.
state
Is that right,
statutes
Justin?
indicate those things, which.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be a licensed, you have to be able to have a license in the state of Kansas to practice law to run for to be the county attorney, and that's it. And it really doesn't. That's really the only qualifications you really need. You can have somebody that has no criminal defense or prosecution background, and they want to run for county attorney, and they are elected by the patrons of that fine county. They can be the county attorney.
But on elected officials, we don't dictate what hours they work.
No, no. The elected officials in charge of their own department. You can't tell the sheriff or the clerk or the treasurer or the county attorney, you know, the when, what, and where. There's no specifications there.
But we could set a standard, Justin, that they at least are present.
There's nothing. I'm not aware of any statute that allows for the county commission to set any standards for an elected official. That's why it's so important that you vote. That's why it's really important that you vote and you know who your candidate is.
Yeah, our responsibility at the commission level is strictly nothing but their budgets, annual budgets.
Are you aware of the American Bar Association recommendation that sets somewhat of a standard for between part-time and full-time prosecutor?
Just a recommendation.
That's a recommendation.
It's a standard, though. I mean, this is a standard that all are held to. This is what everyone in the United States, every lawyer looks towards this.
That's fine, but we don't have the power to dictate that at a county commission level.
I disagree.
Go ahead.
We'll get into that here in a little while.
Well, I do have a suggestion, and that suggestion is something that I brought up a few years ago. Is there a possibility of the position not being elected in the future? Because if you're an employee, there's a difference in a company, a corporation, a city, an entity being able to determine that you work for us, and this is the rules and the standards that we set. And I don't know that.
And that has to be brought before the voters?
Yes. Oh, yeah, it would. Yes, yes. No, I'm just saying, I'm proposing, just like Michael over here and you over there, Michael. Both Michaels are going to do some research because they're proposing something, which I think is excellent. You know, today we propose something and then do the research on it. Maybe that's a possibility going down the road for different entities in the United States of America, not only in Bourbon County. So I've answered too many things or spoke too much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Would that change the Republican Party's position at all? I mean, you would all be, if we found where it was reasonable and efficient to remove that as an elected official, the Republican Party would have no problem with that.
So I am the chairman of the Bourbon County Republican Party, but I do not speak on behalf of the Republican Party.
So would we have to bring it before you and the electorate, or do you?
Yes, yes. I'm only speaking as I know from the minimum amount of training and education that I have in regards to public speaking, that is, you should differentiate between speaking for an entity and speaking for myself. And so,
you don't get in trouble.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So I'll speak for both Michaels here. We'll do research and get back with you.
Absolutely, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you.
So much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have spoken as an individual citizen here today, and only once maybe have I addressed this group as the chairman of the Republican Party.
So, Justin.
Yes, Chairman.
In your infinite wisdom and being in this circle for many years, we hired a part-time, or we elected a part-time county attorney with a base salary of $50,000, $50,100 and whatever dollars. If we was actually going to a full-time county attorney, what do you suspect the wage requirements to get this full-time person in our county?
I would say it would be probably upper to mid 80s, mid 80s probably with the caseload.
Okay.
I mean, you got your assistant county attorney in Lynn, and you got an assistant, you got your Lynn County and your Allen County attorney making part-time at around, the upper 70s in both of those counties, and they're considered part-time in those two jurisdictions.
Right, we have a assistant county attorney also.
Your ACA is doing, your ACA is paid almost what they make in, as ACAs make in, larger jurisdictions, but the issue is trying to find somebody. I mean, attorneys, and people might not believe this statement, but attorneys are becoming rather hard to find. I mean, the age of the population of attorneys is not getting any younger.
It's a good start. 1,000 attorneys.
I mean, I'm one of the youngest attorneys in town, and I'm almost 50.
I guess my question to that would be then, in your opinion, what would draw a prosecutor like Jackie Spradling?
And Chairman, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard. I can hear like every other.
You want to get to the mic for Justin? Can you?
Yeah, am I up now on the agenda? I think it'd be much more appropriate if we rearranged it maybe a little bit.
Hang on. Well, it's kind of discussing all the same thing right here.
Okay. All right. We'll just do it. All right. So, well, good morning. I mean, that's a little late for introductions now, but I haven't changed my position, and I've been amazed by the amount of more public outcry that has approached me on this whole subject. I mean, people are coming out of the woodwork. We want Jackie Spradling gone. We don't feel safe. We don't feel like our county's safe. And it's just grown exponentially over the week. I hope that you guys took this past week to truly consider what I spoke about last Tuesday. I hope that you weren't just relying on Justin to come up with an answer for you, and I don't think you did, but I hope the county councilor also vigorously explored all options this commission has. And I truly do. I hope that we're not just taking the easy way out on this one instead of the right way. Because let's be honest, the easy way is rarely the right way. I don't know if this commission has discussed amongst themselves over this last week at all, and if they're leaning towards a decision. If it is the right decision, then I hope that what I'm saying today can confirm your confidence in that choice. If it's the wrong decision, then I hope I can help guide you to a more righteous decision. First off, I'm going to be frank, and I'm going to ask you guys: has anybody spoke to Jackie Spradling? Any of you commissioners?
She's not speaking.
She's not speaking.
No, we don't talk amongst ourselves.
Okay. Well, I mean, that was a question,
That's an Open Meetings Act violation.
Okay.
I don't want to
So
go
no
through
one
again.
spoke to Jackie Spradling as an elected official. Okay. I mean.
So let me ask you, what are we? If we speak to Jackie, what is the conversation going to entail?
I mean, I just figured she has something to say. What's her opinion on this? I mean, she has an ethical obligation to be forthcoming as an elected official as to what's going on. And I think that her hiding, and because that's what she's doing right now, she's hiding. Out of embarrassment, possibly, I couldn't be sure. I would assume that's got to be some sort of an ethical breach, in my opinion. She has an obligation to this county as an elected official to let us know what's going on somewhat. I guess a question that I would have to ask you guys is, let's play devil's advocate here, and let's say when all these appeals and lawsuits start coming through and we start losing them, where does that money come from that we pay out? Does anybody know? I'm unclear. So I'm asking.
So does our insurance kick in on some of this, Justin?
No.
Well, that's the thing that I was trying to communicate at the last meeting. Because of the COVID pandemic, there are no cases that went to trial.
Right.
You have a defense attorney. Everyone is represented by, if they choose to, they are represented by counsel, and that defense attorney helps you in the process. So if someone is pled out or sign a diversion agreement, you know, that they've had an attorney representing them to go through that process. But
Spradlin
I'm not
was
aware of
county
any.
attorney long
I'm not
before
aware of any.
COVID came.
I'm not aware of any
So she
active,
hasn't-
ongoing.
Yeah, she hasn't handled any cases that was decided with her being the prosecuting attorney. It was all her staff.
Not.
No, that's not. No. There's been no jury trials.
Trials, okay.
Since
that
COVID.
I'm aware of.
But what about since 2018 when she was appointed? How many have been since then? How many are set on the docket now? I mean, these are all things we have to consider. We're not in the safe just because we.
It's going to be highly improbable that those jury trials are going to be heard by the elected county attorney at this point.
I mean,
I have a
But it would be
question.
fair to say that every case that she has touched at all since she was appointed as attorney here in Bourbon County is open for appeals after what the panel
Right,
hopefully.
there's been a, I didn't quite hear the question, but there's been a special prosecutor that's been appointed, and then the ACA at this point are handling the cases. I'm not aware of Ms. Spalding handling any cases at this point.
So I think we skipped over the question though. Where does misconduct settlement money come from? Who pays that out? What fund does that come out of? What budget does that come out of?
It would come out of the county attorney's fund if need be. But if like the murder fund is a special fund that's set aside. So if there was a case that was on appeal and the county attorney ran out of money, it would have to come from the general fund.
But there is no insurance policy. It would come out the general fund if nothing else. There is no insurance policy.
You know, I haven't checked with the insurance, but you know, in this case, you're asking a hypothetical that isn't going to apply to the county.
I don't feel like it's hypothetical, but I mean, and I feel like that would have been a smart avenue for you to go down.
So
but that's neither here nor there.
Let me ask you a question. Are you in the law profession?
I'm not.
You're a lawyer?
I'm not.
Okay.
But I am able to research and I am able to make decisions the same as anyone else is. So I have access to the same information.
Just observing that you were speaking pretty close to being a lawyer, I just want to know what your background was.
No, I have no legal background, but I mean, I do a lot of research, I do a lot of reading, and I like to when I speak, I like to speak in a way that applies to the situation, and this would be it.
Right,
so,
that was just a question I needed to ask.
So then when we go back to, if you remember last week, we talked a little bit about Beatrice, Nebraska, and I have to apologize, I misspoke. I called it the Beatrice 5. It was actually 6, and I also unfortunately misspoke, and I had referred to as the settlement as 23 million. It wasn't. It was 28 million. So I did more, and it turns out that where this county, because I mean it bankrupted them, where they got the money from is they had to increase property taxes there to the maximum amount allowable by law. Now, I know that's a hot issue in this county, property taxes. I mean, we are pretty high already. How do you think the people would feel about gambling with having to go with the highest amount allowable by law? Everyone moved out of that town. Everybody sold out and moved, and they couldn't even sell. A lot of the houses are just still sitting. I mean, that's something to consider here. When we spoke,
Chairman,
yes.
Chairman, I don't mean to interrupt, but at this point, based off what's been presented to me and what's in front of me, the hypothetical that's being presented is not possible because of the pandemic. We've had no jury trials. So, you know, a case on appeal, when you plead a case out, you really can't appeal your plea. You can ask that the plea be set aside, but that's not a real high cost to the county. So there are planned jury trials coming up, but because of the pandemic, they still don't have a jury trial schedule set for Kansas.
Was there jury trials
and so it's
in
going to be
2018?
highly improbable, is a strong word in my profession, that the county attorney who's elected is going to be handling those cases if they do come to trial because of the time frame that's happening. So we're months out before we're going to have jury trials.
Okay.
Months.
Well, okay. So then I see basically the idea that's been proposed by council is waiting for the Supreme Court's final ruling and making a decision on that action made. I think that's a bad idea. I really do. Spradling is a loose cannon with a long history of misconduct.
Well, let me ask you a question at that point. So if the Supreme Court actually says that they're not going to disbar Ms. Spradling,
what is our options at that time?
I'm not an attorney, you know, I
Our
only
options,
know.
our options are a recall election. that
Right,
would
and
be
that's
the only
an
thing.
avenue that I'm actively exploring right now, and it's something that will happen. I know I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Justin misspoke at last week's meeting, and he was under the impression that she had a lot less time on her term than she actually
Oh,
did.
no, he knows what her term is.
No, I was talking about if someone gets reappointed, what will happen with the election cycle there. You know,
okay.
and I was also misquoted about the bid. I want to clarify something. When I said 75 an hour, that's what the bids application fee is for someone who's court appointed to represent a felon.
Right.
Just FYI, I got some phone calls. There are attorneys those attorneys make a lot more than 75 an hour
Right,
for their billable hour.
So Tim's got a question for you, Justin.
Justin, under the special circumstances, if there was a jury trial come forward, the special prosecutor will handle it correctly?
Yeah, my understanding that there's a special prosecutor for the Bourbon County, and that Jackie Spaulding would not do that jury trial.
I just want to clear this up. Her name is
but
Jackie
the
Spradling,
other
not
issue
Jackie
is we don't even
Spaulding.
know
You
at
keep
this
hearing
point
everyone
because of the
keep saying
COVID-19
Spaulding,
pandemic.
so,
We're not even aware of when jury trials are going to start. And we're talking months.
Okay.
Months out.
So it's reasonable to assume that the Supreme Court will disbar her. I mean, in fact, the state only recommended indefinite suspension, and then a panel of 3 lawyers that were handpicked by the chief.
There's been 2 recommendations to the Supreme Court. Stan Haslick's office made a recommendation for permanent suspension, indefinite suspension. And then the committee that heard her case made the recommendation for disbarment.
Right, that's what I was getting to. So that panel of 3 lawyers, they were handpicked by the Chief Justice of the Kansas Supreme Court to hear that case specifically.
That's a process of being. We trust the people that were appointed. And handpicked. I don't know where that information came from, but I'm not aware of a handpicked panel.
That's how it works. You can look
They're
into it if you want.
You're asked to serve on that panel, and then you can take that.
I'm very certain.
Request and say yes or no. But we're self-governing. Our state is self-governing, so attorneys hear the cases of possible disbarment or other actions that could occur, like a diversion or public censure, stuff like that.
The fact that the panel did come out with a recommendation that was higher than the original recommendation, I think, speaks volumes, and I believe it's because of her long history of misconduct as well as her gross neglect for the justice system code of ethics. This county simply cannot wait for the Supreme Court to make a decision and do nothing until they do. We can't afford to gamble on Spradling's long history of misconduct.
Yeah, with that comment, what's your recommendation that's actually going to have any bearing on the outcome?
What is my recommendation?
Of her being here from the county commission. What can we do to?
I think that the vote of no confidence.
What is that going to accomplish?
I think that it will protect you guys from liability in some form. It'll say that although there's nothing we could do about this to get her out, we recognize that she is not doing things correctly, and we do not agree with it. This county doesn't agree with it.
Well, we don't.
Let's say
let's go down that rabbit hole there.
So let's go here. So when I say she has a long history of misconduct, I don't want to just keep throwing that out there. There's State versus Snow, 2006, State versus Rodriguez Garcia, which actually she went to 3 appeals, which she handled the last of. State versus Holt in 2010, Dana Chandler, 2012, Jacob Ewing, 2017, and 2015, the Kansas Supreme Court Disciplinary Office informally admonished Spradling. Stephen McCombs in 2012 overturned in 2014. This is actually a pretty interesting one. He shot his wife's new boyfriend in front of several witnesses, then took off and on to the next county, got pulled over for a traffic violation, and shot the cop with a .357 Magnum. It was on camera in front of witnesses, and when Jackie Spradling handled the case, it got overturned.
Chairman, this isn't elected. I need to go into this conference with the doctors real quick, but. And I can call back after that's over with. But at this point, the recommendation to the Supreme Court is the highest form of punishment a lawyer in the state of Kansas can get.
And we,
prior acts,
we can,
obviously.
we can ask her to resign, we could do a letter, or a no confidence vote, and is that gonna change the liability to the county at all?
No, none at all, no. Because the Supreme, you guys, you're not in charge of you're not in charge of any attorney's license. You're not and the commissioners aren't in charge of the Republican Party. They're not, they can't tell Mr. McCoy or, the sheriff or anybody else what to do. It's, you guys are a policy and budget. That's all you guys are responsible for.
Okay, well then let's talk about misconduct that has occurred, provable, while she's been in office here.
I'm not aware of any misconduct.
Well, let me explain.
That would be if you're aware of an ethical violation that's occurred in Bourbon County while she's been county attorney, you need to report that to the Kansas Supreme Court.
Okay, let me rephrase this thing. So I am 100% positive that when the Bourbon County Republican Committee appointed her, that they in good faith had no idea of what was going on with her. And I also believe that, and in fact, I've talked to present commissioner or present committee members. I've talked to past committee members.
I need to go in and meet with the doctors real quick on my loved one.
That's
I'll
fine.
call you back here in a minute.
Okay, fine. You want me to call you back?
Thanks.
10 minutes?
Yeah, I'm going to find out what the recommendations are about the docs, and then I'll be back in touch.
Okay.
I think you're looking for a vote in this commission of no confidence.
I am.
We have confidence in what the Supreme Court is doing. I don't know of any thing that will change.
Well, let me tell you why you have an ethical obligation to do so.
I have an ethical obligation?
Yes, sir, as a commissioner.
Well, now don't talk ethics to me.
I mean, that's what we're going to talk. So, I got the floor and we're going to talk about it.
We can stop the
floor. I understand.
One of the things you're going to have to be careful with going forward is you're going to be putting yourself into a liability with Jackie Spaulding. You need to understand that she's watching this video.
I'm counting on it.
This committee is not going to move forward that would subject us to any type of liability, lawsuit, or anything like that. I can tell you that. Not with the Supreme Court taking their action, reviewing what's going on.
And then, like I said, we could vote no confidence all day long and ask her to resign, but if the Supreme Court don't disbar her, she's here for the next 3 years.
Here's the point I was trying to get to, though. When she hid that from the Republican committee, which is exactly what she did. She came in at the last hour so that they couldn't find out about it, and she swooped in and pretended to be some hotshot lawyer who actually ain't that great of a lawyer. She's been kicked in and run out of every other place that she's worked. I'm unaware of any other places where she's left on good terms.
You're also
when
telling the world your opinion here.
Right, and this is, this is why I'm voicing my opinion. So when she lied and hid and deceived the Republican committee of Bourbon County, she committed misconduct right there. And she has committed misconduct every day in office since she was appointed due to that fact. Now there's something we can work with. That is misconduct. There's no way around it.
Well, that's strictly nothing but a recall election.
If you guys are going to force my hand to go to the recall election, then that's what it's going to be. And it's going to cost a lot more money than what we could have done.
We can't fire her.
But we can
Lack of confidence vote means nothing.
It means something. It means something, that's for sure.
For the legal side of it, it doesn't.
Not only should the commission take any action and all action available, but I believe that, like I said, I believe that you guys hold an ethical obligation to do so. The American Bar Association Standard 3-2.5, removal or suspension of substitution of chief prosecutor. Section A. Fair and objective procedures should be established to appropriate legislation that empowers the governor or other public official or body to suspend or remove and supersede a chief prosecutor for a jurisdiction and designate a replacement upon making a public finding after reasonable notice and hearing that the prosecutor is incapable of fulfilling the duties of the office due to physical or mental incapacity or for gross deviation from professional norms. Okay, then we go down to Section B. The governor or other public official or body should similarly be empowered by law to substitute in a particular matter or category of cases special counsel in place of chief prosecutor by consent or upon making finding after fair process that substitution is required due to serious conflict of interest or gross deviation from professional norms. Now, what my interpretation of that is that this American Bar Association has put an ethical obligation on you guys specifically. Although you don't answer to the American Bar because you're not lawyers, they are the standard that they are held to. And I feel like the ball kind of got dropped. I feel like they put a responsibility to provide fail-safes for situations like this, and not just at your level, at a state level too. And I feel like we were failed at that level. Well, I mean, because of that, you know, this leaves the public officials and bodies with an unfulfilled ethical obligation. Although preventative fail-safes were neglected, it's time for damage control is what it is, and to neglect the damage. I mean, this is our last chance, basically. It's time for damage control. This is a possibility to fulfill some ethical obligations and avoid some sort of liability, in my opinion. Justin disagrees with me on that one, and I guess he has a different opinion than some of the attorneys that I've consulted with. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's something needs to be done. I mean, I just feel that, I mean,
something is being done. The Supreme Court is looking to disbar
So you mentioned
something done by you. I mean, you guys.
You mentioned devil's advocate there a little bit ago earlier on when you were talking. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate
All right.
myself. So we're complaining, or I say we're, in general, the public is complaining about her misconduct. So my understanding is it's misconduct because of whether it's, you know, I wasn't there when she was prosecuting these cases, but she circumvented the system, basically. She abused the system, whatever.
It was mainly not saying evidence right and appealing to
Okay.
the jury's sympathy as well.
Okay, so she abused the system. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I wasn't there. Of course, these three attorneys said that. So she didn't give these people due process of the law.
A fair trial,
Okay.
yes.
So, a fair trial. So for us to go ahead and what would make us any better? I mean, aren't we just as bad if we don't let the system work?
I mean, we are letting the system work,
Oh,
but you know.
okay, thank you. That's all I need.
I mean, the fact is that like I said, this isn't something new that's come up, and here's what's really scary about it.
Again, I'm going to play devil's advocate. If we are going to, you want us to be just as bad as supposedly she was.
I disagree with that.
Because what she did was.
So why aren't you in front of the courts to ask him what they could do from that standpoint? Somebody that works with this
Because
person
I'm here
on a daily
asking
basis,
you guys for
and
votes
they
of
have a lot more
confidence.
power than we do.
So we shouldn't say she is, and I'm playing devil's advocate.
I understand.
So we should say that she is not, she's guilty before she's innocent before
Here's the
proven
thing,
guilty.
she's
because
been guilty of
the
other
Supreme-
things. This is just the one we're dealing with right now.
Yeah,
So,
but that's other things.
Okay,
This
well,
is this one, we
this
have
is
to let
something
the
that I feel is
Supreme
really
Court-
important. So here's an excerpt, or here's an article in the Kansas City Star. So in order to get the transcript from her hearing and stuff, it's going to cost me like $2,200. I'm not going to do that. So what I am going to do though is I'm going to use excerpts from the Kansas City Star, who did get the transcript and published parts of it. The Kansas City Star that wrote an article, Melita Henneberger, published in December 11th, 2020. It's quoted in saying, when asked what she would do differently in the future, Spradling gave funny answers, retire, no, ha, I'm kidding, or groveling answers. But then she also suggested repeatedly that she would not do anything different. Even though she admitted to denying a defendant a fair trial to the Supreme Court, she admitted that. To a Supreme Court justice, she said, I did not give him a fair trial. She admittedly continued and she will admittedly continue to do so under Bourbon County, under our face, you know. So we know that Spradling has conceded misconduct because at one point, John Larson, the disciplinary panel chair, said to Spradling, you understand the rules of evidence, and I was happy to hear you say that you denied that defendant a fair trial, as quoted from an excerpt from Layla Mustafa's article in the davisvanguard.org blog, which is pretty credible. I mean,
So does she not deserve that same fair trial that she denied somebody else?
I think we're beyond that now. I mean, we're,
Well,
you know, so.
you're asking us to
She self-admitted it.
Where you're asking, I don't care. We are not the judge, jury, and executioner on this. We have to go through the process, and we're going to say you're guilty. So we're going to do everything we can.
Well, you're not the judge or the jury or the executioner, because that would be the judicial branch of government, sir. So what you guys
if I had
are
somebody
is
on trial for something,
you're in charge of the budget, and that's directly what this affects.
They have something right now, but they haven't been proven guilty. Because the people's going to prove her guilty.
Which time would you like her to be proven guilty?
The Supreme Court is the ultimate person that's going to declare her guilt or her innocence.
In the Chandler case, but okay, but
on disbarment.
Yeah, which is for the Chandler case. But what about the other 7 or 8 that I listed off that she was?
About it.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't, but ignorance is no excuse, you know.
And the people that elected her, they didn't know anything about it either.
I know they didn't.
And there's nothing they can do about that except for a recall election.
Because she deceived them.
All due respect, I think you've done an excellent job on your research. We don't know you. I don't know Jackie that well. I'm not going to do any legal statements here based on your
that's understandable.
opinion of what you've read.
I'm representing a good body of this voting, tax-paying population, though, and they've approached me and they've asked if I would advocate for them.
And I appreciate that. But if we take the wrong action here, there's going to be a lawsuit against us, and your taxpayers' buddy is going to be upset.
If we go through this and do what you're asking to do, and the Supreme Court doesn't disbar, we are the ones that are liable.
In my opinion, Justin's opinion is cowardly. You know, I like Justin. I think he's a smart guy, but I think he's running from this because he thinks someone else will handle it. That's not how we do things in Bourbon County. We roll up our sleeves and we handle it ourselves. You know, and that's how we're going to do this. And if you guys won't help me, then I'm going to have to go to another avenue.
We're going to have to go through probably a recall election because it's not a vigilante type arrangement.
I mean, that's what we're going to do. I mean, I feel like you guys are really letting us down on this one, you know, and I appreciate your time, and I understand you're carefully considering it, but I feel like you're letting us down, you know. I'm going to be honest with you. So that's, I mean, I don't really have a lot else to say that you guys didn't pretty much just shut down with, you know, well, we're just going to let somebody else take care of it, you know. I mean, you guys are elected officials and you have options here, and you're just refusing to do them, you know, and I guess I got to respect that, you know.
Well, the only option, I mean, we don't really. I mean, we don't.
You can force a resignation, plain and simple.
No.
You can encourage one. That would be forced. You know, I mean, that you can encourage it. You've done nothing to encourage that resignation.
Well, how do you know that we've done nothing?
Because I asked you. I asked you. Have you called her? Have you even called her and been like, "Hey, Jackie, what's going on?"
I don't think legally she's obligated to discuss.
No, she's not. But I mean,
she doesn't have to talk to us.
She doesn't have to. But I mean, you could have tried. That's my point. You know what I mean?
What would have been the results of me having a conversation with her?
I don't know. We'll never know now.
Ask her.
We'll never know now.
Ask her her opinion what the Supreme Court might or might not do.
How about her opinion on whether she feels ethically obligated to resign or not? You know, I mean, that would be a good question to ask. You know. I don't know, guys. I felt like I had a little bit more of your ear yesterday, and then I feel like, or last week, I should say, and then I feel like something changed it on you, and I feel like...
Well, nothing changed. We went through and looked at all the facts, and like I say, are you going to go to a judge when you have somebody some panel says that they're guilty, or some panel says their recommendation is to disbar them? Are you going to go to a judge if they're on a trial and say, "Judge, you got to do this. You got to find them guilty and get out of here.
No,
get them out of here."
No, I wouldn't.
No, we're
because
not.
a judge is an elected official to make decisions.
You're going to let the judicial process run out.
I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like what I'm asking you guys to do is too much, and I don't know. So
I've only had one call, and that was from you.
No, I agree.
No other citizens has called me on
I've
this.
had a lot.
I believe you 100%.
And like I say, if we make the wrong move, what do you think it's going to cost the county in liability?
So you're making your decisions out of fear then? Is that what you
No,
would say?
we're making it on the taxpayers' money.
I make my decision on advice from county council that we pay to give us legal advice. That's what I'm making my
Yes.
decision on.
I agree. You
So,
know,
not fear.
and that's a smart move to
Fear
make.
is not part of my vocabulary, brother.
I wasn't necessarily referring to you as much as I was referring to Mr. O'Hare back there. Some of the comments that he had made led me to believe more of that towards him.
So it is taxpayer money that is involved here. And
It's
I know,
always taxpayer
well,
money
it
that's
is, and
involved.
I'm not gonna jeopardize it for doing something that may or may not transpire.
And that's where I disagree that you, by not
And,
doing anything,
and
you're,
who's the final arbiter on this case?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Who's the final arbiter on this case?
I mean, it would be the Supreme Court.
There you
so.
go.
They're getting ready to hear the.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just wait and let someone else do it, which that person will end up being me. Because I'm not afraid to roll. I'm not afraid of Jackie Spreadling. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves and do what it takes to make my community a better place. And damn it, that's what I'm gonna do. So on that note, I'm gonna leave you guys, and I appreciate your time, and I'm sorry that we couldn't come to some better resolution that would be mutually better for us and the taxpayers of this county. So
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Can I say something?
Sure.
It's kind of on the opposite of that. I guess my biggest concern about allowing what you guys are saying, the Supreme Court to make the ultimate decision about the situation is a couple of things. First of all, this isn't the first time that this community has had misconduct by our prosecutor. James Schwartz III was also found to have prosecuted 7 cases with misconduct, and then 2 of those cases directly impacted my life, directly. I'm afraid that by standing, I believe that your guys' vote of no confidence will maybe not do anything in this situation. However, I feel that when Justin speaks about it's hard to get attorneys here, it's hard to get good, honest people that want to better the community here, I believe that if you guys did instate a vote of no confidence, you guys are showing the public that this isn't, we're not doing this. We don't stand for this. We want a good community. We want a prosecutor that's gonna work for the benefit of our community. I could go into the same, I did a lot of the research for what he was speaking about, and every single one of the cases that I came across with Jackie Spradling prosecuting, and there was problems later on, it was all misconduct, all of it. It was lying to jurors, fabricating evidence, and it was improperly submitting evidence to different situations. Now those are things that maybe don't impact your guys' life, but they greatly impacted mine. My mom went to prison for 4.5 years for something that wasn't that, but it was directly affected in part of that. I was a 6-year-old little child that, because this went on in Bourbon County when I was a kid, impacted my life. And as an adult now, I cannot feel comfortable allowing that situation that dramatically impacted my life to possibly happen to somebody else. And I feel like if we instate a vote of no confidence and ask Jackie to resign, maybe we'll have to deal with that situation at a later date. But I just feel like to the general public of Kansas, when we're looking for these recruiters to, or not recruiters, that's a bad way of saying it, when we're looking for new elected officials and new people to come into Bourbon County, I feel like it is showing them that we are ethically responsible and that we hold our citizens to, they matter to us, and we don't want a prosecutor or anybody that's going to do things unethically and immorally to affect our community and our citizens. And that's why I feel that a vote of no confidence is important, because if and when Jackie is disbarred, we are going to have to find somebody else to do the job. And I would hope that we as a community would attract a better record than what we have, per se. And I'm not blaming anybody for the past. I'm not blaming anybody for what happened right now. I think it happened and we need to deal with it. But we need to set precautions and measures to make sure that that doesn't happen again. We need to make sure that we show the people who are prospectively wanting to come into Bourbon County that we don't play that nonsense here. We don't do the misconduct. We don't do the hiding of things, from the people or from you guys, or that's my take on it. I want a community. I want elected officials. I want good people running this place, not people that are going to feel it's acceptable to just kind of slide things under the rug because it maybe doesn't impact their lives as much as it does our lives.
I don't think the commissioners fully understand how skewed the numbers are in the 6th judicial, our surrounding counties. So we've got us,
Bourbon County, we got Miami County, we got Lynn County in the sixth judicial. So the numbers are so inconsistent that, I mean, it almost implies that there is something going on. I mean, in the year that Jackie Spradling was appointed in 2018, felony charges filed rose from the previous year of 2010 compared to Miami County's 104 and Lynn County's 77. This is an increase of over 74% from just 9 years previous in 2009. Of those 210 felony charges, 37 were dismissed, 28 were given diversion or pled to a lesser misdemeanor, 2 trial acquittals. Those are pretty, I mean, those just are so inconsistent with the surrounding counties that it's not even funny, you know? And like, I mean, maybe this is our opportunity to get Jackie Spradling out, because she's obviously not doing a damn thing for this community, you know? I'm counting on you guys, to do something.
I'm not willing to lower myself and convict somebody before the judge makes the ruling.
You don't have to convict them. You don't have that authority.
Well, that's basically what you're asking us to do.
That
I know
you're asking
on the
that
24th that the Republican Party will be discussing this in depth. And Republican parties are the ones that Ms. Spradling came to when she was elected and made her presentation. It wasn't the commission. The commission had absolutely nothing to do with it. It all came through the voters.
I am not going to convict somebody before the judge makes his ruling.
Conviction.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm asking for a vote of no confidence.
That's a conviction.
No,
That's a
sir.
conviction.
I just have a question for Mark. Can you tell us basically, because I don't know, what the vetting process is when you chose her or when you choose the next one? And how much of that will be public and that we get all of that in hopes of just spelling some career or something?
Michael's.
Oh, yeah, I was getting kind of thirsty. Appreciate it.
That's okay. I wasn't present for the previous one, so what I was told in regards to the vetting was that 3 different individuals there got on Google and Googled her at the time. So I can tell you what I've talked about going forward. So my request going forward is that we will convey a caucus. Prior to that, we will request resumes and applications for individuals who are interested in applying for the position of the county attorney. We will also ask for a background investigation to be conducted, like a good HR investigation. I say investigation, you know, yes, what a good company would do with their HR department that would require information. You also would look at what the state information is on that. So is that public information? No, it's not, because it has personal and private information. So I'm going to ask that, by the way, I'm on the 6th Judicial Review Board. So when we on the 6th Judicial Review Board review applications, those are presented to us and then they are returned at the meeting.
Well, you could also
redact
their name.
Yeah,
Candidate A, candidate
sure.
B, candidate C.
Yeah.
Just take care of that.
That's a choice, but you know, unless and until I'm replaced, to me the safest thing is to present information and then to not have it anymore, because I'm familiar with information getting out that shouldn't get out. Yeah, and I'm not
identifiable then.
Yeah. Plus, we have no budget, so the cost to do that has to be absorbed somehow. We only take, I guess you'd call them donations to the Republican Party, then costs come out of there. So at that meeting, we would speak to those people, do some vetting. Then what my request is then to schedule another meeting in 2 weeks to actually vote, so that we have time to do the vetting. Because I believe going forward, both parties need to do locally, nationally, to do a better job of vetting candidates. Over the last number of years, there's been a number of people, surprise, that something came up somewhere down the road. We're not experts. We're not going to be able to do a super califragilistic background investigation. We're going to be able to do a basic one. Yes, yeah. Ma'am, you had a question?
These are the suggestions you have.
Yes.
That you want to put to ensure that this type of situation doesn't happen again, and that we have a more thorough idea of who these people are.
Yes. Now, I also would like to say, though, what we do, just like the Sixth Judicial Review Board, what you're doing is you're presenting a candidate for approval by the governor. The governor is the one who actually makes the approval. And I would assume, maybe you make a out of you and me, that the governor's office would do their due diligence in appointing somebody.
Recommendation.
That seems rather inept to me.
When she was selected by your committee,
Yes.
you guys then had to send it to the governor for the governor to approve that this is who you guys selected.
That's correct.
So it would be fair to say that the governor kind of holds some responsibility in not telling you as the committee of her ethical investigation that was going on. Would that be a fair statement?
Potentially, because we're now, once again, there's so much speculation here. We're assuming that the governor's office would do what we might consider today due diligence, and we don't know what that is. That would be some good research for someone to do.
I think what it boils down to, though, is that regardless of what, you and your committee were under no obligation to actually do it, because she should have been forthcoming with it. In fact, when we have the American Bar Association standard 8.4 section C, that maintains that maintaining the integrity of profession, that a prosecutor will not engage in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, misrepresentation of her actions, or lack of, are also inconsistent with the ABA standard 3-1.4, the prosecutor's heightened duty of candor. Now, I have to admit, when I heard the candor word, I wasn't really familiar with it. That's not one that's in my vocabulary, so I had to look it up. Candor is described by Webster as unreserved, honest, sincere expression. Synonyms include forthrightness, openness, and honesty. Now, would you say that Jackie, in your opinion, would you say that Jackie Spradling not being forthcoming about her misconduct allegations was consistent with ABA standard 8.4 section C and ABA standard 3-1.4 or 0.4? Would you?
That's a very good question, and what I would say, the simple answer is I was not present. I do not know what questions were asked and what were answered, so I'm not capable of answering that.
You are aware of the fact that she did not disclose this information, though. That's my understanding.
And Mike, that's exactly what the bar is going to make this determination on whether they restrict her license or take it away.
And see, I guess that's another problem that I have,
That doesn't
though,
put these
is
folks on any notice. Excuse me.
Sorry.
That doesn't put these folks on any notice that they have to enforce those standards. That's for the bar to do.
I would say that what we've done today is we've done our due diligence in bringing up questions, comments, concerns, and issues for ourselves and people that have addressed them to us. And maybe you should choose to come back again. You said you would. And there's research to do. And that we should do our best to present this in a positive, constructive way and ask for and request things to be done. No one here has a right or a responsibility to answer you in any way, though. I mean, you don't. Yeah. Yes. They can't, but they also don't have to.
I have one suggestion for you.
Yes.
These guys have money. You could ask them for some money to do a good vetting procedure, and it's not a lot. Don't get too scared.
I think that's a very good suggestion, and I will take it upon myself.
So in that respect, do we create a budget to budget for the Democratic and the Republican parties to do vetting on all their candidates?
Well, this person ends up being paid out of your budget, and so you have a somewhat of an employee-employer relationship, even though you don't have any control over them. You should want the people that do choose them to do a good job. If they don't have any money to vet them, $500, $1,000 may be worth it just to keep your employer-employer relationship.
He brought up a good point with different parties, so that would I would say
yes.
in closing, because we really need to close, in my opinion. I'm sure Michael has enough contacts that maybe some people would be willing to donate some money. I don't know what the cost would be, but again, I know people that can research that. And I would think for $250, you can get a very solid background investigation. So anyhow, I thank you for your time. I think we should close this session and move on to the next point,
Yes,
gentlemen.
yes,
I
sir.
just have one other question for Susan. Do we have errors and omissions insurance, or is there a separate malpractice insurance for professionals?
That would have to be a Kendall question, because I'm not sure in our
Okay.
policies what we have. I haven't done that
I'm
much detail.
I'm fairly sure we have errors and omissions.
I'm sure you have errors and omissions for you, but is there a professional malpractice insurance that's?
I can't answer that.
We need to look into those as we.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, so let's take a 5-minute break.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Come up and steal your barbed wire and then donate it.
Hi, Angel.
Yeah.
Yes.
He asked me to be back, and I thought it was next week, so he's ready to talk. You almost, after I talked to the state, you almost have to stay within the same parameters. Take the establishment that's gonna go in there, and I just didn't see anything. There was no business.
How was vacation? I look like you're tired.
I got to bed at 2:30 this morning.
For Friday, it's still out for basically,
It's not degree. It's
really complicated. Because you have to meet, all counties have to meet. And, you know, they can't pay is
And the purchase of
I've had that discussion already.
it was more higher rated produce, like, you know, your,
it's all for
organic. And that, for one, our community is not dot-minded.
No.
Well, you could go to Walmart and buy it.
Well, I asked the question, I met with him, what was your foot traffic projection?
So he's probably, I mean, that's what I'm telling you. Figure out another way. At the end of the day,
It is to business. It's not.
So it's not just your Bourbon County?
Yes, it is. It's HB County. Yes, that's who got it.
Well, I know it's in, but if you look at the MRU and what they're saying, it was mostly, he works all over the thing.
She shouldn't be able to accept that as self-insured.
No, she can't, shouldn't.
Right now, we have
Somebody needs to get in the middle of it. Did you, before you, did you just change Cox Bronson Walker?
Yeah, no, well, yes, so she submitted some employee stuff. Cause they called me saying. I was trying to get. No, I was trying to get Ricky to set it, so nobody else stays. You wanted to go back and have a boss. That's the trouble. But my argument is they didn't have a loss, but they had to spend money to not have a loss.
Yeah, that's right, they did.
And so, punishing them for being.
I know, they pretty fickle.
Ben, you old scaredy cat.
What's that?
You old scaredy cat.
I'm not afraid of anything.
I know you're, I started to say I've known him a long time and I don't fit him, so
No.
I didn't say nothing. I've never known you to do that.
I have to agree with Clifton that, man, we're not deteriorating.
Yeah.
In the execution on this stuff.
I agree.
You do have an agreement that goes on my first day on 5.
Am I available? No, I'm not available.
Oh, thank you.
What do you need?
Thank you, thank you.
What do you need? Yeah, you call me. I'm gonna be around, I have a significant amount of storm damage I'm trying to clean. Thanks, Angel. All right, make sure I don't skip anything, guys. Keep me on track.
Social
'Cause I like to
media,
hit the items I want to do.
social media fact checker.
Okay, let's talk about that. I'm gonna get Justin online, because he's gonna have a little input on that one also. I'd have had this number committed to memory by now, but I don't. He may be tied up if he's dealing with something here that's problematic.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you in a position you can talk for a few minutes?
Yeah, I just stepped out of the doctors. Doctors were all there, and I got the information I needed, so I'm heading to the waiting room now.
Okay, very
So I can
good.
get away from everybody.
I understand. We're not talking about anything real, that's gonna be detrimental. We're just talking about our fact checkers. I know that Shane had made mention that he's got some blowback on social media that, well, how much is this gonna cost the county if we have a fact checker? It's not gonna cost the county anything. These people are already in
Right.
place.
Yeah, the people are already in place to give disseminate information if need be. I mean, I don't foresee it happening very often.
I don't either.
But I see it happening to where there's just, really bad information that is being used to make, how people in our, county make decisions.
Right. And I know
And so we want to make sure.
there was a post right after the Spalding thing came out, and there was a lot of inaccuracy in that post. And then the paper really clarified it. They did an excellent job of actually bringing out what all the facts were.
Right, and that's an example of where we could, maybe present facts or information. Obviously people don't have to believe everything that comes from media, but at least get some information out there that can help them with the decision-making process and help them have some additional information.
Right. So what is your thoughts on the fact checker? You think it'd be a good thing?
I always, trying to fight ink is always an interesting thing because everyone has their own opinions. It's regardless of what the facts. Let's say the facts are absolute. Still, people can still form their own opinions and have their own, comments on it.
Yeah. One of the comments that I heard this morning was at least it gets it out that people can see that there is actually something out there that corrects the record.
Right, right, and that's kind of what's my point, where at least they'll have the information and they can make the decision on. So,
All right,
Justin,
so
here's my concern.
what's yours? I was gonna ask
Well,
you.
I learned a long, long time ago not to argue with the press, so they don't run out of ink. So I'm kind of that way on social media. I don't know how to, I know it's important to have the facts out there, but I don't know sure that the people's gonna believe us anyway. We just don't want to get in kind of a show here
No, true.
where it adds to the agony of arguing.
Well, true, but the other part of it is that there was a big blow up about the gravel that was spilled down here on this, and during the wind farm. And if he would have had the picture of the actual amount of gravel on the road, that it would have quelled a lot of those people that thought we dumped 17 ton of gravel on the road.
I don't disagree with you, but are we at the point we have to do things like that? I mean,
The First Amendment allows both opinions to be verbalized.
and their opinions.
But you get your own set of opinions, but there's only one set of facts.
That's right.
Exactly.
You don't get your own facts.
Yeah.
And that's where we get into a lot of disinformation, is the facts are not correct. And they take it as correct, and there's no clarifications on it whatsoever. You know, and that's the nice thing about printed media. They do a good job of fact checking.
It does. But when you give someone a keyboard that can answer their facts, it gets carried away sometimes.
Well, like I said back years and years ago, when I was a little younger, and we started in with email, and that's really dating myself because I was around when email started. The first comment I had when I was a supervisor doing these kind of things is, well, I says, my observation is people are saying things in an email that they'd never say to your face.
Well,
and that's a fact.
And how many times have you sent an email and you wish 3 minutes later you could pull it back?
Not very often.
But it happens a lot.
It does. It really does.
In the heat of the moment.
Yep.
I think sometimes they're called cowboys. They get very brave. So what do you think, Clint?
Oh, I think it's fine if we want to put out, answers to some of the things out there.
Well, I think we need to be very selective.
I mean, yeah, but I think there's things that we could do a better job of getting information out.
Well, it's another, we have this, everything is on video now. We're trying to be transparent on this. This is just another medium we can use to clarify some of the stuff that we deal with every day.
So if there's something out there, then we need to put an answer to, then we can. I mean, I think it's fine. It's not, like you said, it's not gonna cost us anything. So we already have the pages and all
So
that stuff.
Shane has stepped up and said that he would not have a problem of doing some of the fact checking. So if we're okay with that, I think we need to have a motion to go forward.
I'd make a motion that we, well, I'm gonna retract that for a second. Who's going to, I hate to say who's gonna fact check the fact checker.
Well, I would think.
I mean, one of us need to do that.
I would think it would behoove us to have, before they put it out on social media, that they call a commissioner.
Okay.
And, and tell them what they're gonna do and kind of go through the process. Not just arbitrarily let them go out there and say, this is it.
Yeah.
Because we get in trouble that way.
Yeah, so I make a motion to answer some of these stuff that's out there through social media with a fact checker that would be approved.
By a commissioner?
By a commissioner. Reviewed, yeah, probably better term.
And and I would think I would think it'd behoove that department to pick on the person that they think is most qualified to handle that from an approval standpoint.
Yeah.
Like if it's hospitals, it'd be you. If it's road and bridge, it would be you, or whatever they determine.
Yep.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Justin, you still on? He hang up?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Are we doing that this week, or are we changing that, the next one?
Commissioners, I do apologize for not being there today, but I do have one thing I need to discuss, and then I need an executive session
Okay, let me,
for 5 minutes.
yeah,
For 5 minutes for
let me get through the will and emergency protective measure, and I'll call you right back.
I could be on the road, so that might be a good
Okay,
place
well,
for me to talk.
you guys want to amend the agenda so we can get this over with?
Yeah.
I move we amend the agenda to allow, or move the county councilor's time up above Will Walls. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Justin, go ahead.
Okay, I need to get permission or a motion from the commission to start formulating a lease agreement for the city possibly moving into our unused space at the county building. I was approached by a commissioner to bring this up, and so I'm doing that, and obviously I can get a lease and we can have the terms set out and get it signed and have that happen if the commission is so inclined.
Yeah, and just kind of real quickly, I know we're in the process of getting dispatch moved in a short period of time, and we've saved a significant amount of taxpayer dollars by doing this.
Okay, so I'd make a motion to allow County Councilor Justin Meeks to move forward with a lease agreement. Justin, is that the right terms?
Yeah, it'll most likely it'll be a 10-year term too. I mean, the maximum amount allowed by law.
Okay. To work on that lease agreement for the city to potentially move into the courthouse.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And then you can go ahead and have Will's stuff heard, and I can go into I can call you guys when I'm ready. I'll be heading out here pretty
We can do it right
soon.
now, and then I can just call you on my cell phone, Justin.
So I move
Okay, yeah, I need at least 5 minutes executive session for identifiable non-elected. We're going to be talking about specific people and their employment functions within the county.
Is 5 going to be enough, or you're going to need 7?
I mean, you guys, what you could do is go in for 5, and then if you need to have a further discussion, you don't need me, because once we start that discussion and go down that rabbit hole, you guys might need 30 minutes to 45 minutes.
Okay.
So I make a motion to go into executive session under KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss personal matters of individual non-elected personnel to protect their privacy. It will deal with employment matters with identifiable personnel. Myself, the other 2 commissioners, and Councilor Meeks. Do we need anybody else at this point?
We're going to leave this room at...
We're going to leave this. Actually, Susan Bancroft will also be in that executive session. We're going to leave this room at 11:11. We'll return at 11:16.
So here, second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Are you going to hang up with me and then call me back?
I am. I'm just getting everything shut off.
Michael, thanks for coming to the meeting. You're a great help. I second it.
And we're back in this room, and we're possibly gonna have another executive session a little later after we get to. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, well,
You have to wake him up now, he's been here since 4 o'clock this morning.
No, you guys have had a busy morning, and hopefully for what I have,
is that a sympathy or what?
well, I don't know.
Was that a warning?
No,
Yeah.
busy was Friday night, that's the busy time. Yeah. What was going on there and all that fun stuff.
Well, thank you.
Jim, I'll start with you.
Okay.
There's one.
I'd be happy.
Thank you.
Okay, then I'll give you this one. Right now, oh, I'm sorry, it's 2 pages. Right now, I've sent a nice long email to the state in regards to the damage and things of this nature, especially the debris for the county. And Anderson County has done the same thing. They, and I don't know who else, but I was told that individual down there you will need to sign and give a copy, probably this one. And I'll give one. Sign that. Okay. So anyway, we're looking to see what the state will do for us as far as the damage that occurred. I did take a tour yesterday after I was told, I guess this thing's on, after I was told and heard what was going on Friday night, not only through the radio, but from different members of District 3 Fire, and heard about the sheriff and all that. But anyway, so we're in pursuit of that to see where we stand. This first document, and I cannot pronounce that name, that word.
What's that, authorization?
Yeah, but anyway, what that is that is the final document that the state will receive from us, that because it's already been approved, it's for the Bourbon County Emergency Operations Plan. And this is the final document that has to be signed by the chairman of commission and dated. Once I send this back, we're good to go for 5 years. They've changed and they're still working on trying to change when these plans are renewable, just like our mitigation plan, which we have. It's another big plan that I have to work on quite a bit. But once that's done, and it can be shared with whoever. Any questions in regards to this?
We have to take a vote.
Okay.
So I move we accept the promulgation of the county emergency operations plan.
Second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, appreciate that. The other one is back, it was a declaration for the COVID, DR 4504 Kansas, March 29th of 2020 is when they established that. Incident period January 20 of 2020 and continuing. It was for the coronavirus pandemic, and our return is what I'm here to talk about real briefly. The cost share was $75.25, and what the county is going to get after we did all of the, thank goodness, with the work that the clerk's office assisted in, we're looking at about $29,612.07. And that's and it's all been documented. I've signed this, I sent it back. They're now sending it to FEMA for final approval. But it has been purviewed by the state, and everything is in order. Needless to say, I had to answer a lot of questions. One of the biggest things with that was when we were doing, in which thank goodness we didn't, we're doing any improvements at all to a historical building like the courthouse, we had to walk very gingerly on that. But other than that, in here in this office and everything that was a new addition, we walked away really good on that side of it. So, any questions or?
I don't have any.
Once that's approved, we'll receive that check. So.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the time. You bet. And I'll keep you up to date on this. There's a possibility of a disaster that's looming. Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay, you may go over and have them do that right now? Okay, I'll do that. Okay, thank you.
Will. Thank you.
So, you guys got any comments? Elected officials? I don't.
I've got one a little bit later, but whenever it's our turn.
Susan's turn.
Susan's turn.
It is our turn.
I have something today.
Is our turn?
Susan's
Well, we-
No, it's elected officials. You're elected official.
Do you want to, yeah, do you want to talk, or do you want
I can wait, go ahead.
to wait for commission comments?
Duplicity here.
What do you want me to ask?
Go ahead.
Okay, I have several things today. Kansas road trip will be coming through Bourbon County next year. It's a tourism objective that is happening with the city of Fort Scott. We're hoping that we can partner with the county, the chamber, the city, possibly Bedco. Maybe you give direction to Bedco. We have to have an $8,000 all-in budget for the Kansas road trip, and so we're asking each entity to possibly contribute $2,000. And so I'm here as a city representative today requesting that you help support that initiative. It will be bringing a lot of people into our community to see what amenities we have to offer.
And this money will go to Bedco?
Actually, we could request it directly from Bedco.
Our donation would go to Bedco, and they would be the pass-through?
Sure. That'd be great.
Is this for advertising or
It's for marketing, yeah. It's for all their marketing projects, and they're doing Bourbon County, Crawford County, and I can't remember the other county but it's here in southeast Kansas. But I know Allie has been working very hard on this on the tourism side. So this will get handed off to our new tourism person.
Have a date?
I don't have the dates.
Okay.
Came a little unprepared, so.
Okay.
That's one thing. Last week, Kendall and I worked together to draw down your ARPA funding. I still do not have a definite number. It did not give me that when we did the drawdown. So I've asked Patty to let us know once that runs through our bank account, so we'll have a more defined number. We're still very limited on what we can use those funds for, but I keep seeing things out there where they're questioning to change the final ruling on that to possibly allow other expenses. So I think we just kind of sit back and be patient unless we have something that deals with healthcare or water protection. So like if we have a dam that needs to be fixed or whatever, that would be protecting our water source. So, there are some options that it's a little gray area, but for the most part, it's very, very specific. We didn't have a decline in revenue last year, so we can't use that standard. Really, the only one that I can see is healthcare right now.
Was broadband part of that?
Broadband is part of that. Yes. So if there's anything there, we could use that as well.
I know we're working on a project right now in one of our towers that may be able to.
That's one of my subjects I want to talk about. So,
Okay.
yeah. So that funding, you'll put it in a different account?
Yes, it'll be in a complete separate fund. Yes.
Won't get lost in the general.
No, it can't.
Thank you.
It has to be specifically in a different fund, and then we have to do quarterly reporting on that funding, And so that'll probably be something that I'll take care of for the commission. Yeah, it's half and half, yes. So,
It won't be a thing we have to get Greenbush involved.
no, no, this can all be administered by us. So,
So we're gonna do a motion on the $2,000?
okay.
Maybe next week?
The other,
Quite an extensive program on the news, KOAM, on the big Kansas road trip. I think it's
yeah,
about to
it's,
start, right?
yeah, it's big. For this, it'll be for next year. They'll be coming through Southeast Kansas, so we've got some time.
I thought it was this year.
It's 2022, yeah, yeah.
I know they don't said no parades, no special events, they just want to arrive here.
Yes. So I will get you more detailed information at the next meeting, so then that way you guys can make a decision. Budget town hall meeting. Does the 28th of this month, it's a Monday night, at 6 o'clock at the Empress Center work?
What is this? We're gonna be able to televise, we're gonna be able to record it.
That I need to get with Shane on. If not, we could do it at City Hall, or we could do it here. If you want to televise it, we probably need to do it one of those two locations.
If I get 30 people in there,
Yeah, comfortably, yes.
and that way it could be live,
Yep, you could do that.
what do you think?
Where?
Could be live,
If we do it at City Hall,
YouTube.
Well, Russell's equipment's a little more mobile, even if you had it at the Empress, he could probably.
I'd rather have more room at 30, but
over
probably
there,
won't
we're
show
in
up.
transition there,
So
so.
I was thinking more along the lines, if we had it televised, we'd have more participation
Fifth of
too.
the eighth, okay.
Yeah, but the goal for us to have dialogue with them, so.
I'm sure we'll get plenty of time.
So did you guys decide?
So what do y'all wanna do? I don't care.
I like the Empress Center, but I
Okay.
think City Hall's crowded.
Okay,
But
so let
that's up to
me,
these guys.
our equipment is mobile, so let me see what we can do on our side and see if we can't get that set up to be
Good.
done at the Empress Center.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this a town hall including what entities?
It would be any entities in Bourbon County, so this is the Bourbon County budget.
Oh, okay, so 234, 235, all these entities have been invited? Like the college board and such?
No.
Because I.
No, I would say this is more.
I've been the moderator
No.
for these things before we had
No.
town.
I would say no. I would say this is really just about the
This is
budget for the
about our-
counties.
This is about our
This is
budget.
just the county, okay,
Mhm.
county town hall, all right, thank you.
At what time?
6 o'clock?
28th?
Mm-hmm.
I'll drive it down.
Yeah.
Televise. Okay. The other thing is I've been working with Eric Bailey on Public Works budget, and we're actually putting together a 10-year capital plan for you, as well as equipment replacement plan, which is about a 5-year plan. And then the other thing that, as we were doing our budgets, the landfill is a big concern. When I do projections based off of what we're bringing in this year, I do not think we'll be able to meet all of our obligations. So as we go through budget conversations, we may have to look at how that structure is set up, or moving some debt service. We just are not having enough traffic through the landfill to cover all of our costs. So, maybe shortening our hours. There are a lot of things that we can talk about, but the landfill is definitely a concern for this year.
Okay.
So, that's all I have.
Thank you, Susan. Public comment. Michael?
Just a.
Good morning.
One. What's that?
Morning.
Good morning. Want to give you an update on the Law Enforcement, Fire Protection, Citizens Advisory Board. I've had a lot of interest. I've gotten at least a dozen letters, and it wasn't even broadcast the last time here when I was up here. So it's if anyone out there is interested in participating, drop me a letter, P.O. Box 1009, and you know the rest, Fort Scott 66701. I hope by this time next month
we'll have our mission statement, and at least a beginning framework of what we would like to take a look at. And I think we've had one meeting that was very well attended, a brisk meeting. They kind of want to get into policies and procedures, so I'll be asking your advice as to who to speak to on those issues. Just to give you one example, body cam video, do we have any policy on when that should be used, when it's available, et cetera? Nationwide topic, those kind of things. I don't know if we need to include the judiciary at this point or not, but we could. I found Michael's statistics comparing Bourbon County courts to the other 2 county courts in the 10th district. And it may be worth our while just to expand there and keep an eye on those statistics going forward.
So one of the things that's different in our county than most counties is there is a municipal court.
Yes.
So it really changes the numbers quite drastically.
So you're telling me that Lynn and Miami County do not have municipal courts?
No, they do.
They do?
We don't.
Oh, you don't have one here? Well, they have one in the city, though.
Well, it's minor traffic violations.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some discussion on how that's going to be expanded, but I won't preempt.
We're not.
It's in July, August, we're planning on making that transition.
So there will be some,
That's gonna change your numbers quite drastically.
well, from here to there. You're not going to hear any.
Let's go down that rabbit hole a little bit. So it's gonna change your crime statistics drastically, and because most of these cases are gonna be handled by the municipal court, they're gonna be fined, and that money stays here. Now, all those cases that are heard, can be heard by go to our courts.
Have to go to the state. Right. So give me what you think, what areas will change between, let's just use Lynn County versus us. What are they hearing in municipal court that we're hearing in the district court here?
We probably heard it in the district court, but once you put it in the district court, it goes into our crime statistics. Once it goes to municipal court, it doesn't.
I'm more interested in what it is we're prosecuting up here and over there.
I'm just saying, you're gonna see a difference in your crime statistics once that happens. At the state.
I'll take you for your word. We just have to figure out what those definitions that we want to monitor.
You'll see it.
Okay, I'll do that. And then I wanted to add one item. There is a law that's federal level called the Brady Act, and it's not the gun Brady Act. Brady Act says if the prosecutor withholds exculpatory evidence or does not meet the standard of discovery in a case, they have to exclude that evidence that they found, or it has to be spoken of. Well, it also later in that bill, if you are found guilty as a prosecutor of violating the Brady Act, then you have to inform all future defendants there are Brady Act violations in your jurisdiction. That could be a liability. That's where everything backs up. Since Ms. Bradling is allegedly, from this disciplinary board, found guilty of a Brady Act violation, all the cases that she's heard back to whenever this violation took place will be in question, because we have not disclosed to those defendants that there was a Brady situation here.
So is this recommendation from the panel, does it specifically name the Brady Act?
It more than likely does, but it does describe situations where, I mean, I can print you out all you want to know about the Brady Act and exculpatory evidence.
Well, I'd like to know if it's invoked.
Is that more a law enforcement issue or an attorney issue?
No, it's a prosecutor issue.
I'd like to know if they've invoked that.
Most cases that are criminal, they'll do a Brady review to make sure that all the evidence that has been put in discovery, and you know, the discovery portion is law enforcement. If law enforcement, it's a side-by-side determination whether there was a Brady violation or not. If the law enforcement withholds it from the prosecutor, it's still a Brady violation.
Good to know.
Okay? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Michael. All right, Jim, turn loose.
Well, it's really nothing you had brought up. You know, we're now in possession of that tower out there, and we're waiting on the items to be removed, and we're going to start doing some internet. But I really want us, the commission, to start moving forward to do. We want internet throughout the county.
Sure.
And I think we probably need to build a tower up in your area.
Yeah, and I've talked to Shane about that.
I know.
We're looking at, you know, where a good location would be.
But I'd like to hear from this commission. We've talked and we've talked. Now let's take some action to put Shane, and maybe he's doing things, but this really gets started to help all our kids in Bourbon County have the internet.
Right, you know, and with this money coming down the line, this is what it's gonna be some of it's gonna be dedicated to.
Yeah.
The one out here was basically us.
Yeah.
You know, we started that project last fall.
Yeah.
And when we got it completed, now they're into the process of getting stuff off the antenna, and that company is planning on being here and putting their stuff on.
That's what
So
Shane told me.
I don't know how much more money we can get into that one, but the other places where we don't have access would be a good idea.
Well, I don't know, and Shane might have something, maybe you've seen it, but I'd like to see a written proposal of what he wants to do throughout the county to get this done.
Well, I know a lot of the area over west has got fiber now.
Mm-hmm. That's a
And
plus.
some of the area up in the southwest doesn't.
Right.
And some of the area in the northwest.
And see, that needs to be part of our plan. What do we need to do? Action plan. I think we're time for a really.
We're not gonna apply on fiber.
No. I think it's time we get action. So,
Well, we got the money, let's get it, that's where I'm headed.
I'd like to see the commission direct Shane to submit information to us, what we need to do to move forward, estimate of dollars, et
Put it
cetera.
on the agenda for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Where we're at. Kendall? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
The internet access proposal
For Bourbon County.
for Bourbon County.
Do you have any conflict of, is there any antitrust things we have to look at? I mean, are you competing with Crockett or?
No, we're not.
Okay, just curious.
You know, there's places.
I mean, they're putting in
there's
infrastructure
dead
for a
spots,
franchise.
There's dead spots
Yeah,
out there.
but
You can get internet access, but a lot of times it's 56K.
And did you replace that obstruction light on top of that tower? You never thanked me for finding that tower for you.
Thank you, Michael. It's hiding in plain sight.
Is the light bulb port fixed?
Well, they are. They're gonna replace it while they're taking down the antennas.
that's all I have.
Okay.
I'd like to amend the agenda, add an executive session. That 5 minutes went by pretty quick.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? About 10?
15, so it would return. Anyway, I'd like to amend the agenda first to do that.
I'd second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd make a motion.
So hang on just for a second before it is. Robert, would you like to speak to us before we do this? Or you're just a passive listener?
I'm a passive listener right now.
He's actually can be in this executive session. So, I make an executive session under KSA 75-4319B6 for the preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property, to discuss just that. 11 would return here at 11:55. I'd include the 3 commissioners, Rob Harrington and Susan Bancroft.
Here, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we did approve the first one.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we resume normal session at 11:55 in this room with action.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion that we proceed with the donation of the Mercy Building to the county.
Do I hear a second?
That's building and property.
Building and property.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will add some comment because I'm sure there's
Okay.
going to be lots of questions.
Well, I thought you were gonna get out of that. You
Let's
didn't
run out.
give me a chance to get out of that.
I know, but we'll try to head off some of the. We won't head off anything, truthfully, but anyway.
Any discussion about,
So we had, as a commission, we obviously just voted to take the donation of the building and property. We as a commissioner, myself, have, and with the help of a great deal of help with Rob Harrington, the new Bedco director, have been in talks with at least 3 different entities, actually 5 entities for that building. So, and unfortunately, a lot of that is going to be in non-disclosure agreements, and unfortunately at this time a lot of that we just won't be able to make public comment because of
what it might be used for.
Yes, yeah, unfortunately, and I think that could change. Ideally, that would change quickly, but at this point we are in again with a great deal of help. Actually, all the credit goes to Rob Harrington. There's some good things that we will hopefully be able to talk about in the future.
And there was initially a monetary.
There still is.
That's still.
It also includes a monetary donation and assignable leases and those types of things that the attorneys will have to iron out. Yeah.
So it's premature to ask if we'll have an emergency room or not?
We have one, and obviously we have one today.
Right.
And again, I haven't changed my thoughts on that. And one of my main goals is that we have an emergency room when I'm 80 or 90, if I live that long. So.
So all I want is to be able to get out here on a helicopter to
Yep.
the heart surgery, but I've been told I'm not gonna have it.
I mean, in a perfect world, we'd have a hospital, right? But at the very least, an emergency room. I mean, that's the goal. Something could happen tomorrow that we didn't. I mean, I'm not in control of those.
Sure, I understand.
But
it is an emphasis on your part.
it is absolutely an emphasis, I believe, on all 3 of our parts.
So the avenues that you're exploring for the building are healthcare related?
Yes, they're some of them, not all. With that said, the emergency room is still a priority, at least in my mind, and I can't speak for them, but would assume, especially, on this commission's part, the emergency room is absolutely a priority. Sure. As is any other healthcare, whether that's CHC or NRMC that's over here, or whoever, all of those are priorities on our minds, I think.
Good. Thank you.
Has the amount of the monetary donation changed? Or
Well, it has. Originally, my understanding, I was not involved in that, but originally it was $1 million.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
And then it it was dropped to 450,000 8 months ago. I think the fact that Mercy was, no pun intended, bleeding money and didn't have the $1 million. It is back up to 600,000. 600. It has been negotiated back to 600. So I'm sure there'll be 10,000 questions.
Will any of the other taxing authorities be participating, or all of them?
At this point, we can only speak for ourselves.
Okay.
We hope so.
I would ask that all taxing authorities be involved in whatever we can make happen.
Is there a timeline for when something would have to be done with the building before?
Well,
I mean, are you guys working on some kind of timeline?
not at this point necessarily. I mean, I think there are Via Christie's emergency room leases through 2000 January 23, maybe somewhere in there.
They got 2 more years, I think, right?
And so, I guess I'm going to speak as a private citizen at this point and tell you that my timeline would be, I wish it would be done, all of it would be taken care of sooner rather than later, meaning in months, not years.
And then this is something that Mercy is wanting to do in a fairly short time frame. And it's up to us as the commissioners to make sure that the county still has an emergency room. Because we've said many times that we'd lose population if we didn't have an emergency room. It would not be good for our economic development efforts if we didn't have an emergency room. So, it's really that we have to take care of this business that affects the whole county.
Yep.
I would say that the reason why this is done and why it's so important is that building's is a great building, a great asset for the county to have. The organizations that are currently leasing that building are also great assets for this community, this county to have as well. So I believe this move was to maintain, or at least make sure that building maintained its the care, the structure, or I guess the what's the word I'm looking for? Maintain the
integrity.
The facility. Maintain the facility the way it is now. Make sure it's in good upkeep, and so that those organizations can keep providing the services they provide, being CHC and Via Christi Emergency Room. The projects we're working on, as Commissioner Clifton has said, are at this time not for public knowledge, just because the companies aren't for sure. We don't know which direction we're going to go. So, but with that being said, I believe that there will be a user for that building before the end of the year of this year. So I would say. Yeah, so.
And I know Clifton and Rob is looking forward to make some future announcements, so. And they've done a great job. They've both done a great job.
As soon as we're told that we can move forward and announce, we will make that announcement with the entity that will move forward.
I think we've had a lot of questions, as I'm sure you guys have too, and just, there's a lot of rumor too.
A lot of stuff we can't comment on just because it's the attorney-client privilege and contracts, things like that, non-disclosures.
So you're not taking over the maintenance of that building today?
Well, not today.
Today, as soon as the hospital signs over ownership to the county, that's when maintenance by the county will start.
So that closing date could be spoken of?
We don't know.
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Process, I'm sure Clifton's gonna call Justin and give Justin the go ahead to get them contracts started.
In an ideal
So,
world, both things will happen at the same time, so there will be no maintenance, but that's in an ideal world.
And CHC will remain in that building until they move.
Yeah, they
Until they move in.
they're paying rent. Via Christie's paying rent.
And those leases will continue now, for the terms they have now,
Yep.
even if the programs that we're talking about, projects that we're talking about happen, those leases will still have to be carried out until the end of those leases, so.
And that pharmacy that's out there, that's a private pharmacy? Am I correct?
It's CHC's.
CHC's pharmacy, yeah. There's a rehab place that's a private rehab business that's
Downstairs.
out there. They have a lease as well that will most likely continue after as well.
You know, I did find that disturbing in the healthcare cost review that you did, that, what, 10 years ago, we had 4 independent pharmacies in town, and now we have 0?
We still have Walgreens.
Well, there's.
Well, not, you don't have local.
Yeah,
That's.
he called it an independent pharmacy.
Yeah, like a privately owned by an individual, not corporate,
No, we
blah,
don't.
blah, blah. The truth of the matter is that if you went across the state of Kansas or Missouri or any other state, majority, I mean, I don't know the actual numbers, but there are very, very few independently owned pharmacies.
Unless you're a compound.
Yeah.
CVS just bought out, I don't know how many local.
But,
independent-
I mean, I had a friend that had a pharmacy in Atchison, I believe, and actually had 2, and Walgreens or CVS came in and they offer him a ridiculous amount of money just to go home.
Well,
So-
Medicare Part D killed it because it takes so long to get paid.
It you know, so that's absolutely beyond our control.
Well, I understand. Did I misunderstand that this county folks have to go to CVS for their medication?
I don't think that's true.
I heard that.
No, I don't think so.
I know my wife's insurance, she has, to some instances, she has to get from CVS. The other, she has to get mail order, because she's restricted to the amount of times that she can refill an order, unless it's something that's renewed quite often.
Just, I didn't know of any
I'm
local
wondering if
CVS.
I'm wondering if they have deeper discounts if they use CVS.
Or is that what you're
That's
thinking?
possibly
Okay,
what it
so the
is.
copayment is what?
Yes.
Just curious.
I mean, you get into lots of, you can,
Why would
you,
we choose CVS here?
Yeah, it's because it's a state plan.
you can get into a lot of different things. I mean, the fact matter is, if you have a CHC doctor, you can use their pharmacy, and the drugs are cheaper because it's an FQHC. Those are all federal. That's all federal stuff. That's out of the state's control
Well, it's all-
too.
And the insurance companies have contracted it down to where.
So those are. But anyway, one way or another, you know, the building is collecting rent. I personally don't think we should be landlords. It is not my intention, at least on my part, to be that.
So there's no restrictions to sell it should you have a
But
buyer in the future?
There are a few.
Okay.
Mercy has some stuff in the contracts that, you know, that, I mean, they don't, I don't know how to politely say it other than they don't want a gentleman's club out there.
Darn.
So,
But
you
there's
know,
not many gentlemen.
you know, I mean, there's a, you know,
And it's zoned for particular use probably, right, so.
Their covenants are very much religious based.
yeah,
Covenants based
yeah,
on
they would like it
religion.
to, they would like to see it stay as close to that as possible, or, you know, they don't, at the end of the day, they don't care if I mean, honestly, I don't think they care if it's torn down, they don't care what happens to it, truthfully, but there are a few restrictions, yes.
We'd love to have the sisters back.
Well, so would every other town
Every
that
other
has
town
Mercy
with a
in
Mercy
it.
Hospital would.
Yeah.
I assume you all wanna see it used too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we don't want to have to tear it down.
It's too, yeah, it's a, you know, there's obviously some flaws to it, but it's been, you know, any building today should comes in. But it's a lot better shape as it is now than it will be if it just sits there empty for another 2-3 years, you know. It's gonna, at some point, it's just gonna be a detriment. Something that can be used for the better of this county. So we're trying to make that happen.
Go home?
Yeah.
What?
Are you ready? Go
Yep.
home?
Not really, it's too hot.
Which was one point that I forgot to make in my public comment. Do you know there are 75% of prison housing units in 2 states do not have air conditioning? I'll give you a guess of those 2 states. One is Kansas, the other is Texas. And there is a project called the Marshall Project, and his slogan is incarcerate, not incinerate.
Today's National Bourbon Day too, so enjoy living in Bourbon County.
Maybe they'll serve that.
Huh?
Tell my wife.
So you're gonna go home and have some bourbon?
I'd like you.
I'd make a motion that we adjourn.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Hey, you called me.
What?
You called me. I was in a meeting.
Oh, that's fine. I was just wondering.
They've got some stuff out there.
Yeah, I'll call
Front
you.
and north and
Yeah, I'll
south.
call.
Anything
Let me know
after
about
we can-
Thursday. All right, see you. See you,
Tell her.
fellas.
Yep, she. They didn't get up, they didn't get approved for the grant through the state.
All right.
Meeting with Justin tomorrow on this
I'll give her a call tomorrow.
So we'll probably have a press
Another
release.
grant.
I guess they're, Station and Jody are doing a, small business loan or something for somebody buying a moving company? Is that your, Mike, is that your?
Evidently, that's not where it should be.
Kendall, I guess I have to become a Republican. Do I just fill out another?
You could fill out a card if you wanna take
Yeah.
the party.
Okay, I'll do it before the 24th.